Israel feel?
What's up? What's up? Let me turn that down just a little bit. I don't know why, but like for some reason, everything on my system reset and it keeps doing it. I have no idea. Yesterday I was on my old account and didn't even know it. Day before, I don't know what the hell going on. Maybe my shit got a virus. But anyways, shout out to Cover Top for sending me this. So let's see what old Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones was talking about. Let me know if you can't hear it. Here we go.
Feels that it's out of options other than something extreme. Moreover, this is not the beginning of the story. It's the end of a generations-long story. The buildup has been going for my entire life, and I'm 57, where Israel's solution to all problems outside its borders.
Damn, old Tucker looks good to be 57. I will say he's in pretty good shape to be 57 years old. I never guessed that. I thought he was about 40. Okay, good deal. Good deal.
Of course, is killing people. We haven't killed enough people. That's why we're not at peace. And that's just a fundamental misread of life. Like that actually doesn't work. It never ends well, ever, for anyone. Just as a practical matter, like show me where that's succeeded. That strategy has succeeded for a nation. It never has, and it never will. So they're under that misperception. The United States has allowed them to effectively govern the region, the Levant, that way, because we've paid for the whole thing and been their main defender, their really only defender on the international stage. And so we've allowed this spoiled child to get increasingly crazy and out of control. And now we're at the point of, very limited options. I think the only thing the US government can do is to try and calm them down. And unfortunately, the one way that Israel is different from other countries is there is this myth, which is like a foundational myth in the country, that all criticism of Israel is blind hate. It's this thing called anti-Semitism. It's the original brain virus.
Does anybody know who that was that commented that? Maybe the USA needs another Pearl Harbor or 9/11 to remember who the enemy and who is the friend. Like, what the fuck? Who the fuck is this Ben Sabbath? The U.S. is going to regret demands, including Lebanon, in this MOU. This linkage is one of the biggest mistakes.
Can do is to try and calm them down. And unfortunately, the one way that Israel is different from other countries is there is this myth, which is like a foundational myth in the country, that all criticism of Israel is blind hate. It's this thing called anti-Semitism. It's the original brain virus. It's always existed. And there's no rational basis to it at all. It's just people hate Israel because they hate all Jews. That's not true, obviously, but I think a lot of Israelis, probably the overwhelming majority of Israelis, believe that. They've been taught that since birth, and it makes them resistant to any kind of correction or advice from anyone else. It's like, well, you're not Israeli, you just hate me. And that's a kind of a dead-end way of thinking, but I do think that I know, because I know a lot of Israelis, they really do believe that. But I do think to the extent the United States government can influence Israel, one is with the stick, which is funding. No mas, we're not going to pay for any more slaughter of civilians in Lebanon or Gaza or the West Bank. But also the carrot, which is, it's okay. Like, it would be helpful if somebody, Marco Rubio is a close friend of Israel, been supported almost exclusively by the Israeli lobby and the Cuban lobby. His entire political career, he's got 1 million friends there, including the prime minister. You'd think it would be helpful for the Secretary of State and National Security Advisor to go over to Israel and say, let's just tone it down a little bit. There will be a tomorrow. Like, you're talking yourselves into an apocalypse that doesn't need to happen. Like, please, the kind of the helpful outsider offering perspective. When some disaster happens in your life and your best friend comes over, your college roommate shows up to have a beer and says, it's going to be okay tomorrow. And that's like the pivotal moment. That's the beginning of recovery. No one has done that for Israel. And I don't know why, because it's in our...
Why would they be threatening, after everything America's done for Israel, why would they be threatening another 9/11 or Pearl Harbor? Do you know what would happen? Let me tell you something. If Israel did something to America, do you know what would happen to the Jewish community in the United States, they'd be devoured. They probably ought to shut the fuck up talking like that. But you know what, though? It also goes to show just how they feel about us. They just want our money. That's all they give a shit about. They want what they can get from us.
Interest to calm
What's
Israel
up,
down,
Billy?
because as you just said correctly, it's not a conspiracy theory. They are kind of out of options other than to do something really crazy where lots of innocents die. And I don't see how that's good for anyone.
From they don't want the trouble
of
they
the
really
information war, it's Alex Jones.
We're now into the third hour of this June 23rd Tuesday transmission, and Tucker Carlson is our guest for most of the hour. And I got to tell you, I don't gush over our other guest. Tucker, woke up from kind of being under neocon brainwashing 15 years ago. He was right about every other major policy, American patriot, kind of libertarian. But I've seen the process of him getting totally informed into levels even beyond much of my information on the globalists and the different power structures. And then the courage he has had to try to stop in the last year and a half, going to full war with Iran, how vindicated he is, and many of us as well. But he particularly being called the new Hitler by all of the different neocon organizations, the powerful Israel lobby, who is openly in the NDAA trying to take over our military. Mark Levin talking about the beautiful marriage of our militaries and what is in Section 224. I mean, this is insane how brazen and crazy it is. I know Tucker and I, up until about a year ago, we mainly focused on China trying to take over, or the EU, or the left. And certainly those are big power blocks. But wow, what a time to be alive, Tucker. I know you don't talk about yourself, but man, you've got a lot of courage, buddy, because you're taking on one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful mafias in the world.
Well, I don't think it's courage. I mean, courage is when you're afraid of something and you do it anyway. And all of us face that. And, I'm always impressed by that. I'm not afraid at all. I don't know what I would be afraid of. I've just reached the age where I'm just not afraid. And the criticism of me is just not rooted in reality. I mean, if you were to criticize, as I always say, and I always think to myself, if you criticize someone in a way that's true, it's very hurtful. But if you say something that's like self-evidently ludicrous, it has just no effect at all. I mean, it's a pillow fight at that point. I'm not a hater. I don't hate Jews. I don't even hate Israel. I'm disgusted by what Israel's doing. Israel's gone insane, but lots of countries go insane. Germany went insane in the 30s. America went kind of insane after 9/11. Like, good countries go crazy. Israel has gone crazy. I hope at some point they'll recover. They probably will. Most countries do. And that's not hate. That's just acknowledging reality. And so when people are like, you're a hater, you're a Nazi. No, I'm not, actually. I'm not insecure about it. I don't want to be defensive about it. I don't need to be defensive about it. So none of the criticism has any effect. I don't have any debt. I've got no investors. There's no way to really control what I'm saying. And what I'm saying is not bad. It's true. And it's animated by the spirit of truth. And I think by love. I want it to be animated by love. So no, it's been a really light lift. The only really upsetting thing is what's happening to other people, including you, where you had agencies of the federal government take your business away, slander you. They literally took InfoWars away from you with the help of, I think, the Justice Department. That's shocking. Nobody defended you. So as an American, that's extremely distressing to watch. By the way, congratulations for not being killed. You're still here doing a show, thanks to Rumble. Amen. And the other upsetting thing is what's happened to Trump. Now, just to be clear, I'm really happy that he's accepted the loss. I'm sad about the loss, but there's nothing we can do. That we don't have any options as a country.
And you tried to avoid the loss and predicted
to him. I think he's being realistic about it. He's pushed back against Israel. I support all of that. Good for him. But I'm sad that we got here in the first place. And as someone who supported Trump and campaigned for him and knew him well, and that I find that depressing. Really, it's been really depressing. Actually, I finally snapped out of it. I feel better. But it's been a hard winter just to see that. But otherwise, I would say all is well. I feel cheerful.
Well, you more than anybody predicted the strait would be closed, the mullahs wouldn't fall. and it was a disaster. And for that, you got demonized. You got called low IQ. I was honored to be amongst the 4 people that Trump savaged a bunch. But notice now that we've been vindicated and proven right. Notice now that we've been vindicated and proven right that we're still the bad guys, but Mark Levin and all the rest of them are the good guys. Though I did see Trump last week say he's disappointed and lost respect for the Israel hardliners, meaning Netanyahu, because he didn't spoke about Netanyahu and the rest of those guys. What are they going to do now as it dawns on them that Trump is, at least for now, waking up to the fraud they sold him?
I think Trump, for whatever it's worth, it's my belief, and I haven't talked to Trump since February, so I don't know this, but I believe it. I think Trump knew almost instantly that he'd been had, that he'd allowed himself to fall for this lie that the Iranian government would collapse once we killed the Ayatollah. And when that didn't happen, he instantly blamed Israel. That's my view. And I think that's why he sent the Secretary of State out there to say we followed Israel into this. So I think Trump is known. He tried to bluff his way through it. He tried to intimidate the Iranians. Obviously, it didn't work. I think we're in a really dangerous place right now.
What's up, Copper Top? Good
Because
morning. Sorry. Thank you for sending this to me,
I can't
brother.
believe I'm saying this, but if you have diabetes, you need to hear this. Doctors usually tell
Israel is, for the first time maybe in my lifetime, legitimately threatened. And I say this as an opponent of the Israeli government, obviously a fairly well-known opponent of the Israeli government, but I don't want to see innocents die anywhere, including Israel, period. I believe in universal standards. It's always wrong to kill innocent people, including in Israel. So I'm not wishing their destruction, but I think they are in a very tough spot. And the problem for Israel is they've been talking for 50 years, my whole conscious life, about how they're on the verge of being destroyed. And that's always been a lie. But now you have an Iran that is a regional power. It's a global power, and it's not going to go away. And so Israel is in a place where domestically the country's gone crazy. They're convincing
Hey,
themselves
let me tell you
that
something. Gas prices of this morning are back up. They got down to about $3.59 here. Now they're back at $4 a gallon. As of one day, 40 cents overnight.
you know, every crisis is an existential crisis. The only way out is to kill more people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then their great enemy suddenly becomes, paradoxically, ironically, way more powerful than it was when this war started 3 months ago. And so, like, where does that leave the Israelis? By the way, the United States is clearly going to begin the process, hopefully a short process, of distancing itself from Israel. We've got no choice. And they know that. The smart ones know that. So they're in a box, and in general, you don't want to put people in boxes. You don't want to corner them.
$3.59 here, I want to say, pimp. And then now I'm looking right now, and it's at $3.90. So it's went up 40 cents per night. I don't know what that's about.
People or animals, because they do unpredictable things. And so I think Israel's a threat. Israel has one trump card. It's nuclear weapons. And you don't want to put Israel in a position where they feel they have no choice but to use those weapons. I think Israel's always been a lot closer to using nukes than any other country. I mean, we know that because they've said that. And I think they're now closer than they've ever been. So I'm not in charge of anything. I'm just a podcaster. But if I were running the US government, I would, immediately distance myself from Israel, stop paying for their genocide, of course, on moral grounds. But I would also try to calm them down, because if they get too overwrought, really destructive things could happen. That's an absolute possibility. And anyone who says it's not a possibility is lying. It is a possibility. So I would be very concerned. I am very concerned about that.
Well, that was my next question. Is Israel's whipped itself into a frenzy, at least the Likudniks? I know our good buddy Ben Gvir has been making statements similar to the one Trump made when I said, okay, 25th Amendment Trump, if he really tries this or does this, when he said tonight, the civilization of Iran ends forever.
Down to $70-something a barrel, like $71 or $72 a barrel is what I think I just read. And you would think it would be down lower than that. And they're actually saying, let me see, $70.41 a barrel. Moravian, I can't pronounce that, is at 67. And God dang it, burnt crude was at 73, I think. Yeah, $73.94. It's down 0.405%. Natural gas is at 3.170. It's up a little bit.
To return. The next day, it'll be a smoking or glowing crater, nuclear weapons. Tune into Mark Levin. He says what I want to say. Mr. President, do what Harry Truman did. A-bombs, do it, hit them. So we had to come out and say, that's crazy. I did, you did. And we got, called low IQ. Great, who cares? No, we were actually high IQ. We were proven right. Now we hear nuclear talk by Israel. You've got all these horrible people and Israeli spies like Jonathan Pollard saying use nukes, hold us hostage using nukes. What do you now you've got Ben Gvir last week saying we're going to burn all of Lebanon. He said yesterday all of Lebanon is ours. We're taking all of Lebanon. He's more powerful than Netanyahu in many ways. Why are they foaming at the mouth like this? We want Turkey. We want Egypt, Greater Israel. Ben Gvir looks like he's on 10 hits of ecstasy, like he's hallucinating on a power trip. Classic megalomania. And then this thing just moves forward. And we know Israel tends to double down, especially with the Likudniks. Now we have all these intelligence people and military over there saying, we need a new 9/11 to show America to get in line. Iran's about to do a new 9/11. Oh, yeah. We know who was heavily involved in 9/11. Clearly, the Likudniks, Israel, along with some of their own elements, bare minimum stand down.
It very well
Building
could
7,
be, Joe.
the bombs in the buildings. So I'm really concerned that all Israel has left is nuclear blackmail and or a nuclear false flag or something like it to blame Iran. I really think that's on the table. What does Tucker Carlson think?
I think you're clearly right. I mean, they're saying it out loud, so we're not guessing. I mean, you just interpret their statements, which need very little interpretation because they're pretty direct statements. And I think they reflect reality. Israel feels that it's out of options other than something extreme. Moreover, this is not the beginning of the story. It's the end of a generations-long story. The buildup has been going for my entire life, and I'm 57, where Israel's solution to all problems outside its borders and often within its own borders is force, is killing people.
That's why I say everybody needs to be careful about where they go and be mindful. Try your best not to go in no big crowds. I know that sounds crazy, but I would not put it past these people.
We haven't killed enough people. That's why we're not at peace. And that's just a fundamental misread of life. Like, that actually doesn't work. It never ends well, ever, for anyone. Just as a practical matter, like, show me where that's succeeded. That strategy has succeeded for a nation. It never has, and it never will. So they're under that misperception. The United States has allowed them to effectively govern the region, the Levant, that way, because we've paid for the whole thing and been their main defender, their really only defender on the international stage. And so we've allowed this spoiled child to get increasingly crazy and out of control. And now we're at the point of, very limited options. I think the only thing the US government can do is to try and calm them down. And unfortunately, the one way that Israel is different from other countries is there is this myth, which is like a foundational myth in the country, that all criticism of Israel is blind hate. It's this thing called anti-Semitism. It's the original brain virus. It's always existed. And there's no rational basis to it at all. It's just people hate Israel because they hate all Jews. That's not true, obviously, but I think a lot of Israelis, probably the overwhelming majority of Israelis, believe that. They've been taught that since birth, and it makes them resistant to any kind of correction or advice from anyone else. It's like, well, you're not Israeli, you just hate me. And that's a kind of a dead-end way of thinking, but I do think that I know, because I know a lot of Israelis, they really do believe that. But I do think, to the extent the United States government can influence Israel, one is with the stick, which is funding. No mas. We're not going to pay for any more slaughter of civilians in Lebanon or Gaza.
Good morning,
or the West
Bulldog.
Bank.
I knew
But
you'd
also
like
the
this
carrot,
one.
which is, it's okay. It would be helpful if somebody, Marco Rubio is a close friend of Israel, been supported almost exclusively by the Israeli lobby and the Cuban lobby. His entire political career, he's got 1 million friends there, including the prime minister. You'd think it would be helpful for the Secretary of State and National Security Advisor to go over to Israel and say, let's just tone it down a little bit. There will be a tomorrow. Like, you're talking yourselves into an apocalypse that doesn't need to happen. Like, please, the kind of the helpful outsider offering perspective. When some disaster happens in your life and your best friend comes over, your college roommate shows up to have a beer and says, it's going to be okay tomorrow. And that's like the pivotal moment. That's the beginning of recovery. No one has done that for Israel. And I don't know why, because it's in our interest to calm Israel down. Because as you just said correctly, it's not a conspiracy theory. They are kind of out of options.
What are they doing? Writing love letters? Leaving them in that wall? Like, what the fuck does that do? Good morning, Trixie.
To do something really crazy where lots of innocents die. And I don't see how that's good for anyone.
Well, let's also be clear, and you're the guy that really did the legwork. It's just true. I mean, people think I have energy. You got like 3 times what I see. You pop up everywhere. I saw all the former Mossad chiefs, most of their IDF heads, and they're also on Israeli news all the time. But the vast majority, I mean, like 98% of them. Michael Savage came on 8 months ago, and he's pro-Israel. But he said, I know all these former intelligence heads and generals. They say Netanyahu's going to go for full war. Greater Israel is going to get Israel destroyed. So it's not even like Israel's one monolith, but the Likudniks have been able to stand control. And you're the guy that went and interviewed dozens of former intelligence heads and generals saying everything you're saying, but there's a news blockade of them on Fox and CNN. And the Democrats have acted like, they're opposing this, but they've really been, bought off by AIPAC as well. So your BB files are everything you do gets viewed, but this should have been some of the most viral stuff you ever did. The BB files are incredible.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I think that, well, first I would say that I don't think Netanyahu is the most radical person in Israel. In fact, I think probably in the ruling political class in Israel, Netanyahu is probably more on the moderate side. So the idea that the problem is Netanyahu is just not true. I wish it were true because it's easily fixable. There's going to be an election fairly soon, get a new prime minister, the country calms down. No, the problem is much deeper than that. The problem is so deep, in fact, and this is not speculation, it is true. Mossad, which everyone despises, and for good reason, I think, and is afraid of, definitely for good reason, is a moderating force on the Netanyahu government. So, for example, the Israeli strike on Doha, Qatar on September 9th, which was one.
It's a shame so many people suffer painful eye injections every month, especially when this at-home fix.
The craziest things Israel's ever done, strike America's closest ally in the region during a negotiation. Like, it was so out of bounds that even Trump complained about it at the time. Mossad sat that one out. They did not participate in that strike because they're like, whoa, this is too crazy. Like, you're going to alienate our only remaining ally. But the Netanyahu government, which is not just Netanyahu, it's a coalition, it's a parliamentary system. There's a lot of different parties involved in that coalition. They pushed this. So what I'm saying is, the radicalism on display, where you have Israeli cabinet ministers openly calling for genocide, celebrating the murder of children, calling for nuclear strikes, like truly crazy behavior that even the North Koreans don't do, that is like deeply embedded in this ruling party, in the structure that controls the Israeli government. And so I don't really know.
They are
what
definitely,
the solution is.
They are definitely radicalizing each other. And then Ben Gvir, every time I see him beating up flotilla people, running around all crazy, making supervillain statements that's like from a Marvel Comics cartoon or something. And I see this, and I was like, if I was trying to destroy my country, I would behave like this. But I guess they've just whipped themselves into like a shark frenzy.
But that's what happens. This is what happened in 70 AD when the Romans, in really like the most vivid example of actual genocide in history. Exactly. The rebels against the Roman Empire. And it began several years before with these series of revolts. But there are a number of different factions, as you said, basically, and it's worth reading about. It was written about extensively at the time. But they radicalized each other. So there was a great deal of division within Jerusalem, like Jewish factions killing each other. Like they were not a united front at all. And partly because of that, they got wiped out by the Romans. But the effect was.
So America has successfully tested the Golden Dome. It's really sad that we even need that kind of system here in America. I think people are really kind of lost on what's really coming, or what our military fears that are coming, and fucking around with people like Israel is going to speed the process up.
They couldn't reach any kind of reasonable compromise with the empire. And by the way, they were in a pretty good spot in the empire. They didn't have to have this happen to them, really, but they convince themselves. And it's not just Jews who do this or Israelis or like lots of people. This is a human thing, by the way. We're all capable of this, in my opinion. But it certainly happened in Jerusalem before, almost 2,000 years ago.
Holy shit.
And I'm not saying, I hope that doesn't happen now, obviously, but it's the same dynamic.
And I'm
where
sure you know
people
this
say-
because I've seen you talk about it. I'm interrupt.
Yeah.
Harrison Smith 6 months ago made a documentary, got tens of millions of views. When I did a show, it prompted him to do it, showing dozens of clips of Netanyahu and other leaders saying, Rome beat us 2,000 years ago and destroyed our temple. We see the West as Rome, and that's actually our enemy. And then they write best-selling books about it. You talk about an old beef. So when you said last week, many people in Israel hate Europe, not just over Hitler, they literally see Europe as the original enemy. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, I think it's in the Passover prayers.
Yes.
You know, resentment toward Rome, meaning Christian Europe. Of course. I mean, that's what the Bolshevik Revolution was about. It's what a lot of this turmoil is about. And it's not, it's not everyone buys into this nonsense, but enough people do that it is a factor in history repeatedly. And it's certainly a factor in what's happening in Europe now with, blowing up Nord Stream, the current war. It was very obvious going into this. I said this to the president in February. One of the immediate downstream effects of this will be the degradation, if not destruction, of Europe, both through, if you're successful in toppling the government, there will be a massive migrant crisis into Europe, which will further crush the continent. And even if there's not, there's going to be a massive energy crisis that will affect Europe and Southeast Asia first. And it'll crush Europe. It's the last thing they need. If you want to totally deindustrialize Germany, which is the economic engine of Europe, then this is what you do. Trump knew that going in. The Israelis knew that going in. I don't think that was the main goal, but it was certainly one of the goals, also to hurt the Gulf states. I mean, there are probably lots of goals here. But the hostility toward Europe by Israel is longstanding. It's obvious. For some reason, you're not allowed to say it. I don't know why. It's not an expression of hate to note other people's hate. You're not the criminal for pointing out someone else's bad attitude. They are, but whatever. It's best just ignore the response to it and just tell the truth. There is longstanding animosity between some, not all, but some in Israel toward Europe. And because it's never acknowledged, we pretend it doesn't exist, and anyone who notices is a criminal. It's continued for well about 80 years, if not a lot longer. And the effects have been terrible. And by the way, the Europeans are also bent on side. So it's not like it's just Israel's been destroying Europe. The Europeans are working really hard to destroy their own continent. But it's a mixture of the two.
No, true that.
And we should just be honest about that and every other thing.
For a long time.
Absolutely.
And I don't even know why. But just by watching around, maybe, I guess, I have felt like something bad is going to happen here for a long time. And that's why I keep trying to tell everybody, get prepared, buy rice, beans, whatever. The shit is cheap right now. You can stock up on enough rice to last you a year for about $40. It's well worth having.
Honesty is not hate.
We have to stop being cowed, and the haze or the spell that Israel lobby had over America and the world, I think, is broken. I talked about this. You talked about this a year ago on your show in Florida from the studios there, that your concern is that it gives a lot of oxygen to the real crazy, real Nazi radicals, and that there's going to be some false flags or real attacks on synagogues, then that will be used to take free speech. Now we've got the Israel lobby operatives calling for anybody to be banned or arrested that criticizes AIPAC because of this UFC plot, which is a classic FBI, a bunch of kids in their basements dreaming and LARPing. They're now using that to say the main threat is going to be attacks on AIPAC people that have accepted money. So we see them positioning the new domestic terror threat to be anti-AIPAC people. That's what I think this whole UFC hype is about. Can you elaborate on that? And I'm really concerned how they're teeing this up, because you predicted that in my interview before last that you did with me. You spent a lot of time on that, and I think that's really starting to bear fruit, unfortunately.
Well, I think it's been inevitable. I've thought that for a long time, that there will be an attempt to eliminate voices critical, not just of Israel or AIPAC, but of the people in power, to eliminate them from criticizing the people. But what makes me laugh is that it's always the same. Censorship is always undertaken under the same pretext, which is we're protecting the powerless. Well, the powerless are 100% of the time a proxy for the most powerful. In other words, if you're actually powerless, you have no ability to prevent people from criticizing you, and you never do. In fact, if you want to know who's powerless, look at who's criticized. If you want to see who's powerful and on whose behalf censorship is actually being enacted, look at who you're not allowed to criticize. I mean, this is a very famous axiom because it's always and everywhere true. And so the idea that just made me laugh when you said, well, politicians who receive AIPAC money are under threat. Well, you just had your business taken away by the federal government. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of us have been under threat in a real way that's never acknowledged. I can promise you that some low IQ congressman from Florida who takes money from AIPAC is not under threat in a meaningful way. He has federal security, which we pay for. So the idea that the most powerful, the most entitled people, the most undeserving of the greatest rewards in our society are somehow the real victims, it makes me laugh every single time. It's like when Michelle Obama or Oprah would always tell you, I'm the victim of racism. It's like, well, let's see, you're an idiot and you're worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So I think you've done pretty well, you know, all considering. But they were wedded to this idea that actually I'm the weakest, most put upon, most vulnerable person in our society. It's like, that's a sign of unhealth. In a healthy society,
Sure.
The powerful people say out loud, I'm a powerful person. And by acknowledging that, I also take on the responsibilities that the powerful have to the people beneath me. That's why feudalism worked and our current system doesn't. Our current system doesn't work because the most powerful people in the world get to pretend that they're not powerful and therefore shirk the duties of the powerful.
You know what?
You're always going to have powerful people. You're always going to have a hierarchy.
Is when something happens, then that shit will become important to everybody, but not until then. My cracker ass is going on about 55 underground. Hell of a cave system. Hell yeah, that's what's up, pimp. If I had it like that, shit, don't think I wouldn't be using it. And if you got running water, try to figure out some way to power it up, man. They say you take a washing machine motor and rewire it a little bit and get it running in a stream, and it'll produce a little bit of power. You don't need much, just a light.
Hierarchy. But a functioning, healthy hierarchy acknowledges its own existence in a straightforward way and shoulders the burdens that are concurrent with privilege.
Now explain
It's
that. You're
simple.
talking about the original social contracts of the Enlightenment and how the nobles said no more feudalism. If we really are the best, a rising tide raises all ships, as JFK said. We need to truly build real colleges, real institutions, real libraries, teach people how to read and write, have the Enlightenment, which America was the flower of in 1776, and empower people. Real aristocrats lead the people.
Your power company doesn't want you to know this. There's an issue with the way electricity comes into our homes. When I fix
Are patrons of the people, and instead we have fake aristocrats that are kleptocratic, that try to dumb us down and control us, try to divide and conquer us, and attack the West because it is a competing system of liberty that their globalist transhumanist system will not be able to defeat. And so it's the dumbest elite ever to undermine civilization, to have a bunch of tribal idiots.
A lot of people don't even feel like it's real. They don't even realize the situation that we're in with all these fucking foreigners over here and how they're connected to their homeland and how they really despise us. They're just over here to take advantage of whatever they can and then try to fucking disrupt and hurt as many people as they can. You think they're catching these people for no reason? Just like with the UFC 250 thing. Do you think that they're you know, it's a lot more serious than what people realize.
Not understanding in the end, those
I mean, I pray it don't happen, but I foresee something happening.
tribal idiots will consume themselves and them in the process.
Look at the Boston bombing.
Not a very smart elite.
It's not a smart elite, but you can see the allure because any globalized system, any transnational system provides all the benefits and none of the obligations to the people who run it. So in a traditional system, in the world that I grew up in, for example, if you had a housekeeper, you're privileged to have a housekeeper. Most people don't have housekeepers. But if you do have a housekeeper and her kids want to go to college and she
Bulldog, I hit up every porta potty that I could find. Okay, I had plenty of toilet paper. I didn't even pay for it. I don't give a fuck what nobody thinks about it. I could take a shit. I know that.
can't afford it, you have to pay the tuition because there's not just the benefit, there's also the obligation that goes with it. It was called noblesse oblige. And it was a real
Just like I'm
principle.
gonna
It
tell you
wasn't
right
just
now,
some
if
dumb
shit
wasp.
got real bad, like if something did really happen, I'd hit up every road sign I could. And if you're thinking along the same lines I am, you know what I'm talking about. I'd hit up every one of them that I could get around. Because you better believe the state uses lithium ion, and they got the good shit, and we've already paid for it.
Thing. It was an ancient concept. It is the most ancient concept. And it is that loyalty goes both ways. Obligation goes both ways. With benefits come
About 10 road
obligation.
signs is
So
all you need.
it's just a very simple thing, but it's only in a globalized economy, which is what we have, that the people who are
What's up,
reaping the
Joe?
largest rewards can pretend that actually
Shit,
you know, I'm not an elite.
elite.
I'm not an elite. That's why I wear jeans and a turtleneck. That's why I look like Steve Jobs, right? Because I may run everything, but I don't have to admit that. I'm just like you, except I'm a billionaire who's in charge of your brain. Okay. But they pretend that because if they admit that they're actually plutocrats or oligarchs or they're the rule of the world, which I wish they would, then all of a sudden it becomes like, well, how can you be making $1 billion in a country with 1 million people living on the street at night using fentanyl? Like you that doesn't work. Like you have to do something about that. You have to make, maybe you don't fix it, but you have to make a good faith effort to try because you have an obligation to the people who made you rich.
And we're talking about,
they've really,
we're talking about the social
really
contract.
created a system that's all upside for them. Yeah, the social contract.
Social contract's been broken, and now something new is coming out of that. I want to finish it with Israel and get into your statement about being done with the Republican Party, why you're saying that. I have a lot of questions from viewers that were posted on X. I want to ask you some of those in this precious time we have with you. But since you mentioned Israel playing victim, it's got a whole bunch of nuclear weapons. It's way more wealthy per capita than we are. It's basically using our money, won its wars, but now it is on a delusional power trip saying Greater Israel publicly, all of Lebanon. We can show the map of Greater Israel, a whole bunch of Saudi Arabia, a whole bunch of Syria, a bunch of Iraq. This is parts of Egypt, delusional. And then you got Mark Levin in one of his recent shows, when he's not saying, you listen here, Tucker, with your little show. You think we're going to let you operate? You watch, buddy. Well, he sees now you're vindicated and they're now behind the A-ball. But here he is talking in a brief clip about little Israel and any Republicans not supporting whatever we say to do. You're bullying us while we primary your members of Congress and while we brag, we run your country. Here he is.
I want to say to people in and out of the administration.
No doubt, bro. No doubt.
Stop
hot water heater. Yes, sir.
Trashing, smearing, bullying the little state of Israel. Stop cozying up to and telling us that the enemy regime in Iran is now more rational, more moderate, and a regime that we can deal with. When just a few months ago, they slaughtered 50,000 people, they're still hanging young people today. And if they had a nuclear missile today, they'd fire it into our country.
Motherfucker, y'all killed how many people right next door? I mean,
Sure as I'm alive.
yeah.
I don't know what's going on, but if people think they can bully a little country, and really a people that have existed 4,000 years, through the Babylonians and the Persians, through the Romans and the Third Reich, into surrendering their defense and their decision on how to secure their country, they got another thing coming. I think it's outrageous. When we used to see the Secretary of War and the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff daily here on Fox tell us of the fantastic marriage, symmetry between our militaries in defeating this enemy. I'm really appalled by this, and I hope it comes to an end sooner than later, because it's not right, it's not just, and it's not truthful.
So now we don't stay in a war they sucked us into, that they started, that they lobbied. We're bullying them. This is ass backwards, Tucker. Then I want to just finish up on Israel dovetailing. The NDAA, the marriage that he just talked about of our military and intelligence, the whole 9 yards. It's in the Senate intelligence bill as well. And then Netanyahu calls this getting away from our money because they'll co-own our weapons. This is really an attempted Israeli coup through law that's really a treaty, Tucker.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to work. And I look at Levin or whatever he calls himself, and I feel sad. I mean, look, the spoiled child always hates his parents. The ones who abetted his grandiosity are always the ones he blames. This is exactly what happens when Christian Zionists tell Israelis they're God's chosen people, they're special in the eyes of God, which is absurd. It's not a Christian understanding of reality. It's just not true. We're all people, all created by God. We're all fundamentally equal in God's eyes, at least at birth, chosen people. It's absurd. But if you tell people like Mark Levin, for their entire lives, they become what a spoiled child becomes, which is this very recognizable combination of fragile, preening, self-hating, hating other people. I mean, that's exactly what you get. And we did that. And we did that by funding Israel, and Israel's supporters in the United States did that by flattering Israel and abetting all of their worst instincts. It's like your kid takes his diaper and smears crap on the wall, and you're like, that's art. How do you think that child grows up? You think that kid grows up to be like balanced, well-adjusted?
No, an entitled psychotic.
Exactly, an entitled psychotic. And we did that. And I feel guilty about that. By the way, I didn't do it, but I watched it happen. I said nothing because I don't want to deal with it. But I should have been wise enough to know this is what would result. Of course, we're going to wind up on the brink of nuclear war, right? Of course, because we created this attitude. And of course, they're a threat to us, which they are. That resentment is 100% real. Mark Levin hates the United States for Trump's statement last week.
Well, he said he hates Trump.
He
said he hates Trump, and you've warned Trump that they hate his guts.
Now, I told Trump before this started, these are your enemies, and they're luring you into a trap. But whatever, I'm not, I'm a podcaster. I'm not in control.
Well, I know this, and I'm not going to play the clips. I'm sure you've already seen them. I played them in the last few days. At the World Jewish Conference, and then at this conference that Levin and Huckabee, where Huckabee says he wants to live in Israel and all the rest of it, and he thinks Trump will fire him any day, they had Gentiles get up and say, I'm a goy, and you're superior, and I'm lucky to serve you. And then Huckabee in another speech is like telling the young Jews, you're the rulers of the world. And then they had the major CEO up say, I'm a goy, and I serve you as your minion, and we must censor everyone that doesn't accept that you're superior. I mean, I'm not obsessed with Jews. I'm never, but literally the sect of Jews that think they're God now has this cult in our government, and they're coming and licking boots on TV. What the hell is this? Have you seen those clips?
It's exactly, yeah. And it's what happened after the George Floyd hoax. You see these white liberal ladies washing the feet of black, kind of confused looking black people. Like, what are they doing? What are these white ladies doing? Oh, you're a holy black person. It's like not treating other people as human beings, treating them as demigods, which they're not. They're just people like you and me, telling them they're special. Again, if you tell a child this, the kid becomes a psychopath, as you said. So this is something that we did, and I feel bad about it. But no, they are not the chosen people. I'm not the chosen people, and neither are you. We're people, okay? And we do our best to conform to God's will. People of different religions, but anyone who says God loves us most or only us is deranged.
Well, I mean, if Michael Jordan,
that's deranged. That's not true.
Exactly. If Michael Jordan, at the peak of his success, he's an amazing person, said, I am the chosen one, I am superior, you'd say he needs to be put in the rubber room. This is bizarre.
I'd say you're a great basketball player. Or I'd say to Israel, it's really cool that you built, fields in the desert. Like Israel's done some cool things. I don't hate everything about Israel. But to tell Israel you can do whatever you want and we'll pay for it, and when other people criticize you, that's their problem. They're the haters. Genocide's okay when you do it, but bad when the Nazis do it. To tell them these deranged things and then finance the whole thing for decades, of course you're going to wind up with Mark Levin and Ben Gvir. Like, what do you think's going to happen?
And
that's
then they
exactly
say,
what we're watching.
Then they say, we'll just come control your Congress even more. And what it is a giant, deranged, psychotic baby with nuclear weapons. And Ben Gvir, I think, is the archetypal Jabba the Hutt, Baron and Harkonnen caricature of that. And the time we have left, I've got a bunch of questions from the listeners that came in on X. Everybody should obviously subscribe to the Tucker Carlson Network, follow your shows, your prolific work. I mean, you are literally the tip of the spear, my friend. This question came in from Pug Holder, and it says, Tucker, you say you're leaving the Republican Party. Will you commit to not supporting J.D. Vance if he runs for president? Well, I know this a lot better than Mr. Neocon, Israel First, Marco Rubio. Another lady, Dina Rhea, says, will he please help us start an American First party? How do we better position 2028? We need someone who actually gives a damn and is willing to make massive changes in the Fed, stay out of endless wars, etc. Seems, unfortunately, like Trump has a stranglehold on the GOP. Seems fruitless. I think that's why you're saying you're leaving. But maybe I'm too pessimistic. Says money printer, go bruh. And I got a bunch of other ones. Let me ask you this way. What do you mean by you're done with the Republicans? Obviously, you don't think you're endorsing the Democrats. What are you saying here? Is this like when Joe Kent resigned to draw attention, to get them to course correct? Or here you are. Yes. What does Tucker Carlson say?
I mean, as usual, I don't have any kind of plan or grand strategy. I've never had that in my life. I was asked a question and I answered it directly. And the question was, can you support this? And of course not. I mean, I can't support the Republican Party in its current incarnation for the same reason I can't support the Democratic Party in its current incarnation. They have the same views. They have the same views on the big questions, on the economy and foreign policy. Trump, over the past year, has been essentially indistinguishable from Chuck Schumer on the big issues. And again, just to restate, the big issues are how do you manage the economy, how you decide who gets the wealth, who doesn't, and how do you manage your foreign policy? Where do you engage? What are your priorities? And on those questions, which are the questions of government, with all respect to the trans debate, okay, those are the big questions, they're in lockstep. And I didn't want that to be true. I thought that Trump was an option to that. I thought he was a third option. I supported Trump in 2024, not because he's a Republican, but because he was not a traditional Republican. That's the whole point. And that's why everyone I know supported Trump, not because he had identical views to the Republican Party leadership. He had very different views. And I thought those were the views that were going to be enacted into law and policy, but they weren't. And instead, the views of Mike Johnson, a person for whom I have no respect at all, those views became dominant, the Mark Levin views. So like, why would I support that? I would never support that. Why? Because I'm an American and I want what's best for my country. It's that simple. I'm not being paid by anybody and I'm not being told what to say. I've got a bunch of kids. I want the country to continue in a recognizable way. And I don't
totally
think the Democrats' ideas will allow that.
So I understand it's just a gut level thing to say, hey, I'm not with this because Trump's with the Republican establishment more than ever.
Yeah, because everyone's imprisoned in this binary. And that's the whole point of it. That's why they emphasize the trans stuff. The trans stuff is insane and it's disgusting. It's anti-Christian. But why do they emphasize it? Maybe they created it for this reason, to create the illusion that there is this massive fight between the parties, when in fact, on the big issues, they are in lockstep. There is no meaningful difference on economics and foreign policy between what this administration has done by and large and by what Chuck Schumer would do were he president.
Sure.
Now, I hope that changes.
Sure, it's like
by the
abortion
way, I've
used to be.
supported
It becomes a football issue, so they can act like there's something they disagree with, but on the main issues, it continues on. So what are you advising people to do? I mean, still good Republicans that are America firsters, support them. Don't support
I'd support good people. And if they call themselves Republicans, that's fine. I'm just saying, or if they call themselves Democrats, that's fine. Try to think clearly. Here's my point, to the extent I have one. Try to think clearly about what's good for your family and good for your nation, and factor out the irrelevant things like party identification or peripheral issues that don't have direct bearing on the future of your kids, and try and think clearly about what your real interests are and who opposes them. And I'm just saying, I don't care how many times he goes on Fox News, Mike Johnson, the Republican Speaker of the House from Louisiana, opposes everything that is in your family's interest long term. And that would include territorial integrity, immigration. That would include the strength of the US dollar, the economy, and that would include whether or not your son or grandson gets killed fighting a war for Israel. It's that simple.
I totally agree. So let me ask you this.
I don't know why would we support that? And I don't care what name you call me or what name you call yourself. I'm a conservative Republican. I'm part of the Liberty Pro-Jesus Caucus. Really? Show me how. Like, we should demand a little bit more, I think.
Well, I know you fought really hard, and I disagree with something you said about 6 months ago. You said, I apologize for supporting Trump. The first time, he was way better and did a lot of things. We didn't have a bunch of big new wars. The second time, he was a rebel. They came after him. He got a lot of good things done. But about 4 or 5 months into the new administration, he changed. So you weren't wrong. I wasn't wrong. Starting with the Epstein, then shutting down Doge, and then everything else, these wars. Bovino tried to be nice about it, but he's gone public. Trump killed internal enforcement of immigration and basically put former Democrats from Biden are now being put in to control it. They're even weakening actual border security. Now that's confirmed. And Bavino told me during the break, and later it came out. No, he said on Fox a month later, no, Trump ordered this. So something changed. I know you were talking to him all the time then. The times I've been at your house, hey, I got to go. Trump's calling. He really cared about what you said. He cared about what the founder of TPUSA said, what Charlie Kirk said, but something then changed 5-6 months in. Do you know what that was?
I don't, but I just want to leave, I want to put an issue out there that I think is of central importance. It's never mentioned, and that's the racism against whites, the institutional racism against whites in the United States, where if you're a white man, it's harder to get a job, a federal contract, or college admission. And that's factually true. It's proven. Not just statistically proven by disparate impact, but by document requests delivered in lawsuits. So we know for a fact this is happening. And DOJ has done basically nothing to fix it. And so that's like a core question. Can the US government, can our biggest institutions commit open racism against the people whose ancestors built this country? And yes, they can. It's one of the main reasons people supported Trump. It's one of the main reasons I supported Trump. Not because I'm like a white nationalist. I'm not.
It's discrimination.
Because I don't believe in institutional racism against.
Yeah, for those that don't know,
whose country it is. I mean,
major universities are still saying no white men apply even with high grades. Major companies are still doing it. During the Biden, 94% of hires were not white men. I mean, there is a war on white men. Everybody sees it. And thank God. I know you've got to go in a few minutes, but I've got to ask this question. I believe you when you say it. I know you hate D.C. I know you love Florida. You love Maine, but to both places, beautiful. I don't blame you. But a lot of Republicans have claimed, look at him in Polymarket. He's like the third most popular person, not even announcing. Do you want to put the rumors to bed here? You're not planning to run for president, or are you?
Of course I'm not planning to run for president. I mean, of course. I've never said or done anything that would suggest I have an interest in political office, because I don't. I never have had an interest in political office ever. It's just not kind of what I do for a living. It's not what I'm interested in. I really don't like politicians. One of the things I regret, and I've always liked Trump, I'll just say personally, I don't know why, because he's hilarious.
Maybe he's funny, yeah.
And there are a couple other, he's very funny. There are a couple others I like.
Well, will you support JD Vance? I think he's great compared to Rubio.
Obviously, he's great compared to Rubio. Obviously, look, I'll support the best person. I always have liked JD Vance enormously. I think he's really smart. He's in an impossible situation. I think he's doing his best. I strongly disapprove of, obviously, as I've said 100 times, of this war and of what's.
Oh, I love how Trump and others have been blaming Vance when he's volunteering to go stop it. Internally, it's confirmed he tried to.
Would you mind telling people how old you are?
I'm turning 82 this year.
Wow, what's your secret?
I don't swallow a handful of trendy pills, don't get beauty.
Stop it just like you did. I love how the guy that was right, he's the bad guy now, and the war's his fault.
Oh, it's the people who tell the truth who are punished. It's the people who try to do for selfless motives the right thing who are punished. I mean, that's what evil is. But anyway, a system that consistently punishes people for telling the truth rather than lying, consistently punishes the virtuous and lets Jeffrey Epstein skate. I mean, by definition, that's an evil system. And so I would say the upside of this moment is clearly the current system is going away. Obviously, it doesn't work and everyone hates it. So we're getting a new system of some kind. I hope it's not too radical. Hope people don't get hurt during the transition, but it's going to happen. And I don't mourn that, because this is not working. This is not working. Any system that produces like Pete Buttigieg as a presidential candidate and the Iran war, like that's not a system that is going to govern my grandkids.
Well, you said God would have to appear to you for you to run to president. So should we all pray that Jesus appear to you and tell you to run for president?
Oh, I don't want to run for president. I do want to be involved in offering an option of some kind. I don't know what that would look like, but it's not democracy when no matter who you vote for, you get the same result.
Tucker, you'd beat Gavin Newsom. You know you'd beat Marco Rubio. I mean, you need to run for president. It's just like a gladiator.
The options are Gavin Newsom and Marco Rubio. I don't think. I mean, I know Trump is very convinced that Gavin has a shot, and Gavin has an advantage in that he's a sociopath who will say anything while passing.
And he can talk, unlike Kamala.
Oh, he can talk. Oh, he can talk. And by the way, Marco is an underrated talker. He's an excellent talker.
Oh, yeah.
Speaks without notes. But both of those guys, I mean, come on, is that really the option? If that's the option, I mean, then again, it's more as that the system is not. Last thing I'll say is the core problem this country
really
faces
don't.
is not that it has elites. Every country does and needs them, by the way. Someone needs to run things.
Oh, no.
It's that the system
How
that
can
we
you
have in
steal
place to
things?
produce
Not
elites.
steal, but how can you use things out of the Bible for the Quran to back up things for the Quran and then call that a religion to start with? I mean,
produces instead mediocre conformists, wholly lacking creativity, terrified, weird,
stagnant,
easy to control, stagnant. It is not producing impressive people. And every empire is the same in this one regard. When its system fails to produce a leadership class capable of running,
you can't take that away from him. He's still a smart man.
This huge thing that the ancestors built, then it collapses. And so we need to fix that, like, immediately. And the first thing to do is stop discriminating against white men. You know, they built all of this in the first place. They have a pretty good track record. So knock it off. Give them a fair shot.
Finally,
you know, I noticed a change right when they started discriminating against white people in the 2000s. And I kind of wondered to myself, what the fuck is going on here? You know?
There are silver linings. We know they're putting a guy in just as bad, but it shows how unpopular they are holding on by parliamentary manipulation. Freedom and liberty is growing. It's a wave the elites are having trouble suppressing. What do you make of Keir Starmer, particularly nasty creature, having to resign?
I mean, I guess it's good in that it's always good to see people who deserve to be punished. But I mean, your question kind of provides the answer. It's not. Whatever. We're just going to get. These are replaceable figures. Is the truth. Whether it's Rishi Sunak or Keir Starmer or Macron.
Yeah, and that's why I say, Copper Top, they get a lot of their shit out of our Bible, out of the Christian Bible, and they use it to validate some of their claims. And it's like, you can't do that. Either you're a Christian or you're Muslim. You can't have it both ways. There's a black kid on here. I was watching him go around, and boy, when he trapped some of them Muslims up, they could not stand it. He's like, your religion is fake. It's false. And when they would not answer his question, he said, you can't answer my question because as soon as you do, you're trapped.
Or Justin Trudeau. I mean, they're all kind of the same thing. Krista Freeland. I mean, they're all like these kind of cookie cutter. Robots is too strong, but not quite too strong. I mean,
I knew you was gonna give
people
me
who are
help
making
by playing
decisions
this.
on their own. They don't have agency. They're not actually leaders. They're employees. And so there will be another employee, and maybe he'll be a little more subtle in his contempt for the people he leads, but it's going to be the same brand. And so you need major change. And again, I'm against revolution. I'm totally opposed to violence and hurting innocents. But we're moving toward something radical here because the system is unable to respond to the demands and the needs of the people it leads. And it can't even acknowledge its own failures. It just like lectures people. Oh, you're an anti-Semite if you don't like it. No, I don't think I am. Yeah. I think you suck. I think that's the problem. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's Ceausescu who's on his way to being executed, starts lecturing the executioner. Like that, you get in this mindset where you cannot show any flexibility at all or any introspection. Well, certainly you can acknowledge culpability for your crimes, and that's like
they never
a bad
even
place
debate
to be.
us.
That never ends well.
They never even debate us. So I just want to make this clear. But now you got to go. I want to be clear. I understand that it's not a thing with you. It's courage. It's a mission. You're not afraid. You're committed. So am I. Because it just feels right. It's what makes your soul good, and we're people of the people, and we're Americans, and we know we're doing the right thing. But at the same time, I know you're not a drama queen, but people need to understand. People need to celebrate champions that tell the truth and reach people all over the world, not just here.
Well, why did
and
they
you're loved
want
all over the
into
world? You are the most
our land, Kathy? That's the one thing I've never understood. Why would a Muslim want to come here to the United States? Right? This is a Christian-built place. Why would you want to come here? Everything that's here is based off Christianity. So you come here, you're already at odds with people. It doesn't make any sense other than to try to cause conflict. Yeah, why would it? Yeah,
Prominent person
money.
in the world when it comes to media and in intellectual and cultural discussions. You're influential everywhere. And so you're right up there, with Trump and a few other people. And, I've been someone influential for many years as well. And I just sleep better at night. And I'm so proud of the work you're doing. And everybody should support you at the Tucker Carlson Network. They should become members there. They should boost and promote everything you're doing because you're the antidote to the poison out of all these other prominent people. And so I could care less about Hollywood people and care less about galas and care less about status. But I'm really proud of the fact that we're friends and that we've been able to work together, Tucker. And I just salute you and go in Godspeed because we are behind you and we appreciate you having the will and the determination. Because I know you worked hard at Fox and everywhere else and did a great job, but to see you just take it, level up, has been an inspiration to me. And when nobody in any major media.
Somebody get Alex a napkin. He needs it. That shit's running off his chin this morning.
Capacity was defending me being censored and attacked. You consistently did it, and I know you talked to Elon and helped him bring me back to X and the rest of it. So you've been a guardian angel, and I owe you a lot, and so does America and the world. So Tucker Carlson, thank you so much, and God bless you, and I salute you.
God bless you. Thank you. That was really nice. And undeserved, but thank you, Alex. Great to see you, man. Congrats.
All right, I'll do a Tucker. Oh, I can't do it. Oh, I can't do it, dude.
It's too demented. Sorry.
All right, I'll talk to you soon, brother. Thanks.
Thank you. See ya.
That was amazing. I can't do a Tucker imitation. I can do almost anybody. I can't do that laugh because it's a real laugh. Now, everybody's talking about forever chemicals, and there's a whole bunch of them, and they just basically never go away. And they've been trying to do is gravity-fed filters with the highest rated victory. It is your children, your staff, your crew, StoneStore.com. Become a VIP for $30 a month.
I can't stand when these guys try to sell us something. I mean, I know that's how they pay for their show and all that good shit, but
Welcome to All Family Pharmacy.
and why in the fuck does Ukraine keep hitting all the damn gas?
Where on the earth you're gonna find the country where you cannot quit, cannot leave the country, because where the government will hunt you on the street, like is this utopian movie, and send you to the front line, where basically in 3 days you're dead. And Ukraine have a huge shortages with the soldiers because they have a very big losses. And look, the facts, it's very simple. When Russia and Ukraine do the swap of the bodies of the soldiers, it usually goes like last one. Russia gave to Ukrainians 28. When the Ukraine give to Russia, 28 bodies of the Russian soldiers, which they picked up from the battlefield, and Russia give to Ukraine over 1,000, bodies of Ukrainian soldiers. So this is illustrate what kind of attitude the government has to their own soldiers in Ukraine, and what kind of attitude Russia has to own soldiers in Russia. Now, the Israeli factors are not only influencing American policy, it's becoming a key problem in American politics. Because I think American people only can decide what decision they're making. Yes.
Yeah. I've seen
like
it.
any nation, they can have their proper friendly relation with any country. But
I was kind of thankful for that video, Drew, to be honest with you, because I had been looking at those Hankai for a while, and I was like, there ain't no way, man. Something's off with them. But they seem to be pretty good little motors. Only thing I wish they had more of long shaft, like a really long shaft. But they all seem to be anywhere between a 15 and 25, I think.
Basically bragging that they're controlling America. This is a real signals for concern. And first of all, Americans should be worried and ask the question, why it's happening? Well, again, history also gives us a proper lessons. In the sense, if the nation cannot establish themselves within their neighbors and coexist, at least. I'm not telling that they must, love each other, but coexist. more or less peacefully. It's always end either this nation would be gone into history, or otherwise there is no solution. So for Israelis, I think it would be improper now continue the same policy.
Every Tuesday, Victor Bout, very famous Russian version of that, former political prisoner in the United States, and he's also elected major regional leader in Putin's party over in Russia. Everything he's been telling us, has been coming on the show the last few years, has turned out to be extremely accurate. And I do a lot of research into all of the things that are happening, and I find his analysis is the best out there. And the bottom line is the old order, the fourth turning is here. The globalists are trying to bring in greater tyranny and a world government. We are opposing that. They don't want any nation states, any sovereignty. And chief amongst that, and their main target, is Russia. The same cultural poison, the same brainwashing, the same Satanism, the same pedophilia that they poison us with, they're trying to poison Russia with, but Russia has been very successful, probably the most successful, pulling away from that and then helping lead Eastern Europe out of that. And that's why the globalists hate Russia. And so now the EU is having to admit, major British newspapers are having to admit.
I'm digging this.
Telegraph.
I'm going to tell y'all right now, I'm digging this just working every now and then. It's too fucking hot out there, man.
The Russians are advancing very quickly from the east into the west, taking major cities and towns. Boot predicted months ago that in the coming...
Yeah, a lot of them are like Mercuries, though. The black ones, them are like Mercuries.
Months, Ukraine would launch a provocative stunt, probably
that Enduro he bought,
to try to push the Russians back in a few areas to have.
But that's cheap for outboard, man.
Symbolic victory that is indeed happening, but they haven't got much land. But in the real world, Russia's intensifying bombardments in response to Ukrainian NATO-backed bombardments, and is winning and is preparing to accelerate even more. From everything I've seen, I think Boot can fill us in on that. Meanwhile, sheer madness, UK tests long-range missile for Ukraine to bomb Moscow, a heavy missile that would blow up entire blocks. Obviously, it's a provocation. So we'll look at that latest situation, how it ties in
anytime
with Israel sabotaging the peace deal by continuing attacks in Lebanon, with their top ministers saying they want all of Lebanon to burn, all of it belongs to them, and that the goal is all of it. I played Ben Gvir, their intelligence head in the cabinet, saying that last hour. So Victor Bout is on X at Real Victor Bout. Be sure and check him out and follow him there, where they post this interview every week and also other big interviews he's doing. I'm glad that he's getting involved in the media because he's obviously very smart and articulate. And so, Victor, thank you for joining us on this 23rd day of June 2026. So much to discuss, but I think you agree with me.
Pimp, here's the thing, though, right? Iran would do better off to agree to let America in there to look, because the financial market that they could tap into, and it would just do their economy so much better, man, to just get along. What the fuck do they need a nuclear weapon for? Like, honestly, they've got all the oil in the world. They could ship to where they wanted to and not to where they didn't want to, and can control people. They don't need a nuclear weapon, man.
That history is on humanity's side. The globalists,
but I'm going to tell you right now, they're not going to keep
battle,
America control
but they're not giving up because they're enriching themselves by protracting this as long as possible, but endangering the whole world under the threat of nuclear hellfire.
They've
obviously
taken
economic
advantage of that
devastation,
shit for
bare
so
minimum,
long.
with the Strait of Hormuz continuing to be closed. The peace deal being sabotaged yet again. So thank you for joining us.
And from the way it was explained, was explained to me, a lot of the shit that's happened is because America meddled in shit that they should have never done. Like, I watched some shit that explained it way back when, what they did, what America did, and why the outcome of shit the way happened the way it did. And if that shit's true, I mean, you can kind of understand.
Last week, and this provocation by the UK, obviously to elicit what Russia's warned of, bombardment of military bases and weapons caches, not just in Ukraine, but in Europe, though we do see Poland beginning to pull away from Ukraine, pointing out, why do you give out Nazi awards, the Order of the Eagle, to your soldiers? Why do you, Poland saying we're getting ready to break with Ukraine over the Nazi worship, which everybody's been ignoring, which is, even Zelensky said, sure, we got Nazis. They're Ukrainian too. So some good signs as well. Victor Boot, thank you for joining us.
Well, Alex, hi. Just to put record straight, I'm actually part of the High Council of Opposition party, not the Putin's party, but nevertheless,
I get it all confused. I was reading a British newspaper. I'm sure they got it wrong, so I shouldn't believe anything they say.
Okay. All right, good. And actually, we're criticizing a lot our government. We're also proposing a lot of the different, legislative initiatives. Okay, now let's go to the main issue. You're absolutely right. Now, this is eventually the globalist feeling that their days are numbered, and they're trying a desperate attempt to show the victory, or at least launch the massive
What do you mean by that,
counter-offensive.
history?
If you
Educate
look what's
on
happened on
that,
G-
please, if you don't mind. What do you mean by that? With the Middle East signing the agreement puts Iran as a direct target from other Muslim countries. Is it because they're making a deal with a Christian country? Is that why?
G7 meeting, basically the French president and the Europeans globalists
I'll have
tried
to
to
do
sell
more
it as a
research
huge
into
success.
that. I haven't
as
really
if
looked into
they
that, if I'm
succeeded to
being
bring
honest.
Trump in their camp. And now that there was their
One
commentary,
thing at a time,
especially of the French media, which is very
you
close to the President Macron.
realize now,
that
remember, I'm
finally
still new to all this shit. So I'm trying to take in as much information as I can, but I still don't understand all of it. That's why I keep watching this stuff.
A very long and very hard job. They succeeded to bring Trump to support Ukraine. They hired numerous psychologists, behavior specialists who would consult them what they need to do and how they need to behave, that the Trump would be at least able to speak for a couple minutes with Zelensky and give him certain promises. Whether it's true, I don't think so. Finally, what's going on, I think for Trump, the globalist is even more
no doubt,
staunch enemy than anybody else, because they are threatening him. They are orchestrated attempt of his life, and they would not leave any legacy of the both terms of the President Trump if they had the chance of doing so. And now everything becomes so mixed up. It's even sometimes for the normal people completely confusing what's going on. We're hearing there is a peace deal, then Hormuz Strait open, then it's again closed, and there is again bombardment of the South Lebanon, then the Ukraine claiming they trying to launch some attacks. When you start checking the facts, apparently it's a Russian army moving slowly but successfully, and they did not succeed any territory to Ukrainian advances. Ukrainians preparing to some advance towards the Crimea. They're trying to hit the fuel supplies. They succeeded in some occasion. Yes, there is a certain limitation and difficulty.
Do this every morning to clear stuck mucus from lungs and breathe easy all day long. Short or weak breathing is easy to blame on the lungs, but that's not the whole story. The lungs are part of the solution, not the root cause. The main culprit behind short and weak breathing is the sticky, thick mucus coating the airways. This mucus acts like a
is to reorganize logistics with the supply into Crimea. But,
yeah, this dude's hard to listen to because of his broken English. It's just not an easy listen.
AR lovers, you need to see this. This gadget right here saved me over $500 at the range this year.
If region, the Levant, that way, because we've paid for the whole thing and been their main defender, their really only defender on the international stage. And so we've allowed this spoiled child to get increasingly.
That again. That's what they're playing on there now.
if you can essentially, and by the way, just so I preface this, I'm not saying any of this is fact, but thought exercise. If you can prove that you have a half dozen to a dozen people who are in Charlie's inner circle involved that day, what is more likely, that they were involved in whacking out their best friend, husband, and whoever, or that they were involved in an elaborate hoax where the motive would have been Charlie? Have you seen the clip of Charlie talking about that that Joe Biden and Jack Smith had targeted him in the special investigation or in the special prosecutor investigation? He was like number 2 target apparently, and he spent the entire final year of the campaign believing that if Trump lost, he's going to go to prison for a long time.
Yeah, he said the first thing he thought when Trump won at 1:27 at night Central, that, oh great, I'm not going to prison.
Yep. And so every person with a gigantic profile who is facing down an investigation, and again, I love Charlie.
They have major pressure on them to hit the ejection button and make themselves bigger than life. That way you have the cake and eat it too.
Yep. But I just mean that anybody who's facing inevitable prison, Kenneth Lay, stuff like that, it's like, if you know that you're going to go down, everybody's going to get to, well, my only out is fake my death. When Trump gets into a position where people are being critical of him, he starts to kind of spaz out and he starts saying things that he shouldn't very, very quickly. Like, example, where they're calling him a pussy. So he says, well, listen, I had no choice. We only have 4 weeks of emergency global oil reserves. And you're like, why would you have told Iran that?
Yeah.
Why would you tell them that? Now
I
they
get
have
that.
like the leverage to, now they know you have no choice. They can do whatever they want. A bunch of people were saying that Justin Gaethje, that he had to have had like lead in his gloves. And he's like, I saw him, he was on Rogan. He's like, that's just flattering. He's like, they say I'm on steroids, flattering. They say I had
the
lead
guy he
in
was
my
fighting,
gloves,
the guy he was
flattering.
fighting had his hands down, walking straight into straight right punches in the nose. I mean,
he was yeah, I mean, he was exhausted at the beginning of the third, and that straight shot that Gaethje hit him with like broke his entire left orbital bone. That break is so gnarly. His break, it's the worst orbital bone break I've ever seen, because it goes all the way inside of the eye bone. It was like and he still fought for another 2 rounds. I mean, that's
incredible.
He did a lie detector test also on a podcast, and they asked him, he said that he lived in New York the exact same years that Epstein lived in New York. He lived in Palm Beach, been in the same place as Epstein. He said that he had been at a party that Epstein was at. It's like, it's crazy. He's saying he also says that he's doing a DNA test right now. He's like, yeah, I'm doing a DNA test, so I'm going to prove I'm not Jeffrey Epstein. I'm like, where would you have gotten Jeffrey's DNA, guy? You know what I mean?
Oh, let me just say to my producers, I want to get Palm Beach Pete on.
I cannot wait to watch that. I will watch that with an ear-to-ear smile.
Do it, guys. Here he is with some hot chicks.
Guys, it's Palm Beach Peak. Where in the world am I now? I'm with these beautiful ladies, and I'm gaming, and I can't stop winning.
Do you love me?
Okay, let's go shopping.
What the fuck is going on? In what world do you look like a sex pedophile and you become famous for looking like a fucking pedophile? In what world are we living in?
You see the Israel lobby coming out and saying it's preposterous. People are saying Israel did 9/11. They're kind of begging the question. Me thinks you protest too much like Macbeth. So we're going to look at the Israelis, not just urban moving systems who admitted, oh, we were told it was going to blow up, so we got there that day, and they were connected to Mossad. That's everybody knows about that. We'll cover that. Don't worry. No, it's the Israeli / they're all Israeli, but out of Austria art project with the gelatin plastic explosive art project. And they said their project, they would release to the world their art on 9/11. And they're right there in the tower where the plane hit in the exact spot where the explosions happened. Wait till we get to that. And the reason I'm doing this is what I've been saying for months, well, really last year. When Israel gets us in this forever war, they know it's not going to be easy. They're going to want to keep us in it. They're going to need a new 9/11. And Israel's fingerprints were all over that with elements of our own Pentagon. And the neocons here. We're going to cover that too. Wasn't just Israel that hit the USS Liberty. It was in conjunction with McNamara in 67 and LBJ. That came out from the witnesses, from the admirals, from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Moore, who I interviewed before he died on air saying it. I've interviewed the admirals, and LBJ says, I want that GD ship on the bottom on Egypt so they can nuke them and go to war with Russia. Yeah, Operation Northwoods 2.0. So
yeah, it's crazy.
That's where we are here. And now all these top Israeli defense people and intelligence people say, we'll show America Iran's about to do a new 9/11, and then they'll get behind her where they're not even veiling. And I said their next move's a new 9/11 for months and months, and now they're saying, oh, yeah? New 9/11, bitch. You're going to be sucking our wiener. You're going to be putting your kids in the draft to do what you're told.
That's in the Bible, too.
And then they pop up and a bunch of them say it. Articles are at alexjoneslive.com. All right, I'm going to try to shut up and give our guest the floor. I agree with about 95% of what he says. He thinks this guy down in Palm Beach that does look a lot like, could be, Larry Silverstein's brother is Larry Silverstein. I mean, would they actually hide it in plain view like this? He says he's not. People think I'm Bill Hicks. I don't look that much like Bill Hicks, but I don't know. I don't think this is Larry Silverstein unless he did some plastic surgery, unless the head got smaller. And his head's more like a little peanut, though the teeth are similar. But if you're an Ashkenazi Jew, I mean, they tested this guy's DNA, Russian Jew, Polish Jew, originally Polish, then they went into Russia. I mean, they're probably, heavily related. I mean, but it's like you can look at a Labrador Retriever, a black one, and say, God, looks just like my dog I had when I was a kid, because the genetics are almost the same. You go to China and walk around, everybody looks the same. It's homogeneous, but we'll get to that later in the hour, maybe a little bit in the next hour, with our guest, Jesse on Fire. Is a YouTube creator, podcaster known for breaking down controversial news stories, politics, combat, sports, and internet culture with a focus on critical thinking and independent analysis. Got a great show, great energy, great brain. YouTube and Spotify, Jesse on Fire. Instagram, Real Jesse on Fire, and on X, Real Jesse on Fire. All right, you sent a lot of topics. Israel opposition in our politics.
Blood vessels are right next to this fucking. I mean, they're popping out of his face. Him almost looks like he's got ringworm around the mouth. What the fuck is going on?
Getting involved, the nightmare of the Iran situation, Jeffrey Epstein, and the evidence that he's living openly in Palm Beach. It's overwhelming. Not sure about that. Charlie Kirk assassination theory that he's still alive. I think a lot of it does point towards that. Certainly the whole official story is horse manure. So, Jesse on Fire, take it away.
First of all, thank you for having me on. Huge fan, longtime fan. And I'm ecstatic to be able to talk to you about the Charlie Kirk one, because I basically told myself, I'm like, if Alex tells me I'm crazy, then I might just be like, okay, maybe I'll just shut it down. But I'm glad that it sounds like there is actual evidence that people agree with, because I don't know. Once I put the theory together, obviously there's no way for me to know for sure.
Well, let me tell you what happened. I'm interrupting you right away, and I said I'd shut up, but well, you know what? I'll get to it later. Just make me go back to what I'm going to tell you after you talk about Kirk. In fact, let's start with Kirk first. Go ahead.
Okay, go for it. No, I was just going to say that, like, there's no way to know for sure, but once I put it together and I did this, I started doing this series on it, and every single thing that I went back and looked at, there's so much stuff to look at when it comes to this case that you forget about half of it until you go back. And every time that I went back and looked at something that didn't really line up, it lined up perfect if that's what's actually going on. You know what I mean?
No, I totally agree. So let me just throw this out because I want to hear from you. I don't go with these things usually, but I'll have folks on that I agree with, and I'll be honest about it, that I'm leaning towards this. Sean
his
Johnson,
blood vessels
Navy
around
SEAL,
his face almost look like a beard, bro. And that's his blood vessels. Like, what the fuck is going on? They're all up around his mouth. The blood vessels are exposed. I've never seen that on somebody before.
7 combat tours, really smart guy. Through Joe Rogan, they're friends. And he knows a bunch of other Navy SEALs and Delta Force guys, and we work out with some of them. About a week into it, he goes, that's a squib from stuntmen. That's what all the military guys think. They think he's alive. And he said, but obviously, he's got a podcast. He goes, I'm not going to say that because I'm not 100% sure. And then I'm like, I don't know. And then they said 30-6 to the neck and all that ridiculous crap. And then Cash Patel didn't want an investigation of accomplices, didn't want to look at foreign powers and the way his wife acted. It was either that or some type of low energy, slower air gun or something, is what some other military think or something. Maybe exploding, Mike. And
the U.S. Navy went down with a salvage ship and brought it up. These people on board immediately
didn't detonate properly. Why did they dig out the concrete under it under orders of the FBI and the governor? I mean, there is a cover up. The official story is horse crap. So then what is it? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to break it down in the most simple possible way and just not get into the meat and bones of it, it's like, if you can essentially, and by the way, just so I preface this, I'm not saying any of this is fact, but thought exercise. If you can prove that you have a half dozen to a dozen people who are in Charlie's inner circle involved that day, what is more likely, that they were involved in whacking out their best friend, husband, and whoever, or that they were involved in an elaborate hoax where the motive would have been Charlie? Have you seen the clip of Charlie talking about that that Joe Biden and Jack Smith had targeted him in the special investigation or in the special prosecutor investigation? He was like number 2 target apparently, and he spent the entire final year of the campaign believing that if Trump lost, he's going to go to prison for a long time.
He said the first thing he thought when Trump won at 1:27 at night Central, that, oh great, I'm not going to prison.
Yep. And so every person with a gigantic profile who is facing down an investigation, and again, I love Charlie.
They have major pressure on them to hit the ejection button and make themselves bigger than life. That way you have the cake and eat it too.
Yep. But I just mean that anybody who's facing inevitable prison, Kenneth Lay, stuff like that, it's like, if you know that you're going to go down, everybody's going to get to, well, my only out is fake my death.
And I do believe Ken Lay, that was fake. It would take an hour to go into it. He was down in South America, was seen. 100% that was staged.
Yeah. Yep. So, I mean,
that was Enron, by the way.
The side of it that's like, oh, what happened that day? I've just looked to other people's research, because when I started putting it together myself, it had everything to do with the behavior of the people around it. I just couldn't figure it out.
Well, that was the biggest thing, is like, they're laughing, they're smiling, they don't look upset. Where's all the blood? And it looks like a squib coming out. And I'm just saying, a week into it, there was a consensus with Sean Johnson's military buddies who were like, he's a demolition expert, you name it, and a weapons expert. They said, no, we think that's fake. We think he's alive. And I said, well, I'm not going to go there yet. And now it's just the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I feel like a lot of people that focus on the case are, I would say they would consider themselves adversaries of TPUSA. I don't consider myself an adversary of anybody. And candidly, one of the main reasons that I did the series is because I saw, when I thought that I had figured it out, I was like, I think everyone who's attacking them has a complete misunderstanding of what actually happened.
Like a
and they're doing
man.
where they're actually attacking Charlie. They think that they're protecting him, and they're doing the exact opposite.
Well, let's be clear. I mean, I wouldn't say super good friends, but I met him during the 2016 campaign. We flew on a plane together, talked a lot. He would call and thank me from time to time and said, great job exposing Epstein, keep it up, put pressure, good pressure, you put pressure on Trump. He wants to go to they're trying to get him into full war. That's right before he got killed. I mean, I got the phone records. He called, texted me. And so he was a great guy. And that's why it's hard to believe any of this, the boldness to stage it. But the official story, again, the 30-6, none of it's true. And so, when you look at all this, it really does point towards that. And I'm a big TPUSA fan. I think their work's been very important. Exactly. I'm not saying this just to get clicks or something. In fact, I could have come out week 1 with, all these Delta Force and Navy SEALs. It was a consensus. Sean was getting him on the phone and stuff. They were like, oh, no, we all know it's fake. He's alive. And these are experts. They're like, that's fake.
Yep. Yeah. And when you look at Erica specifically, the other thing to look at, and I always recommend this to people, is I go look at her and Charlie on video together before this happened, and then compare it to afterwards. Because how do you explain the gigantic shift in energy? Like, obviously she's not showing grief, but she also is totally normal on camera when she's with Charlie. To me, it appears like they have an incredible relationship. And so you look and you're like,
no,
how
exactly.
would
She looks loving and beautiful and genuine when Charlie's there. Then her eyes get crazy. She acts witch-like. If you wanted to be an actress and put off, to come off as disingenuous, you'd have to be a master actor to look that disingenuous.
Yes, that's an excellent way to put it. You would have to be Daniel Day-Lewis to successfully look as disingenuous as she has looked in all of these things. But also, when you think back on a lot of the early stuff, where, you know, they put on Instagram where she's there, you know, over the coffin, and you're like, what is this? Like, who would do this? Like, who would make a show like this unless, you know, you're trying to sell it? And the other thing too is when Milo Yiannopoulos went on Tim Pool's channel, I think it was on December 5th, 2025, if I remember correctly, and he outed the fact that he knew for 100% sure that Charlie had not been buried yet. It's like a hair short of 3 months after the assassination. And that was right when Erica went on that press tour. Literally right after that is when she went on the press tour, and she was like, can I just have this one thing? And so in hindsight, I'm like, this feels like this might have been a reaction to this, you know, this big elaborate or, you know, a big thing that they definitely were like, oh my God, how could he have known that? And now everybody knows that.
Yeah, we were just showing a joke video of a fake Erica. I told the crew,
yeah,
and they're doing a great job. No need to show the fake ones. Show that first rally where she doesn't come out eyes swollen, crying, any of that. She's like, woo, baby, in the hot black pants. And, oh, God. And everybody's like, what the hell is this? And then it just goes on. And then she overcompensates, all acting pissed off. I'm sorry. It just, and I even told TBUSA, they're high school people. I said, listen, because I don't think they killed him. I know all these people well. I mean,
why
they're
does J.D.
like
Vance,
nerdly Christian. I mean, them.
I grab my wife like that by the hips. I would never grab another woman by the hips. I mean, that's just me. It don't look good.
Like, we need people to vote. Yes, we're working hard. Alex, you need to stop drinking. I've actually been out to dinner with before. And Alex, you should, I know you're a Christian, but you sure you should have another double vodka? No. I mean, these are not Lex Luthor people. But then you look at the story, none of it adds up. And I've told that high-level folks, like, let me do you a favor. This is early on. I said, tell her to shut up. Just shut up. You're hurting yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically the fundamentals of the entire belief system for me. Was I looked at these guys, and especially if you look at the video of them on election night and you look at how they all interact, it's like these are good people who love Charlie. They don't like him. He's not like a bot. These guys,
that's another reason I came to her defense early on, because I had dinner with them 5 or 6 times, been into a few of their events, and you can't fake this Christian stuff. And I'm Christian, but I'm not like Bible thumper on your ass. When I saw they're having orgies at TPUSA, they're all on cocaine. No, folks, it's a snore fest of them making phone calls, doing interviews, and workaholics. I'm telling you, there's no swinging from chandeliers. That's why when you see all this stuff about them, now she's had a little bit more racy past before Charlie, but the rest of these people, this is like watching paint dry, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, the other thing too is let's say hypothetically that they had actually been involved in a large conspiracy to whack him out. When they're doing the podcast early on, where you had Mikey McCoy, Blake Neff, Andrew Colvett, and Erica on that one, and it was like 12 days after Charlie had supposedly gotten killed, none of them are sad at all. Like they're all ear to ear smiles. I'm like, this makes no sense. Like and at the time I couldn't put it together. I was just like, what's up with these people? I don't get it. It was all in hindsight when I started really thinking through a bunch of different things. You know what the big key, that actually the final thing that was like a lightning bolt where I'm like, I think I figured it out, was actually Phil Lyman's appearance on your show, like literally within a day or two afterwards, when he said that he had seen those 2 girls and they were goth or whatever, and they go, you know, oh, F these people. And for some reason, right after I heard Erica's recording after the memorial, and she was talking about the merch sales, I was live streaming that when I listened to it for the first time, and I closed it out. I'm like, she's either an alien or Charlie's alive. I don't think that there's a third option here. And I walked downstairs, and for some reason, that Phil Lyman interview popped into my head, and I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, Phil Lyman says it's those 2 girls. That points to the leftists. And for some reason, that was the one where I'm like, I know what they did. Like, I know.
Things your brain hides that no one ever told you, SAS Part 7.
If you have what they did. And then I started putting it together from there, because
let's start walking through that. I don't know what you're going to say, but you have all these leftists right when the gunshot goes, turns around and yell, yay. You have this weird known leftist operative that pops up everywhere for the Bushes and others for decades, who popped Zen, is his name. He pops up and says, I did it, I'm the shooter. And then he says, I did it so he could get away. They thought they were part of something more like decoys or for the show. None of them were in fear. I don't think they were read in on the whole thing. Is that where you're going with this?
Well, with those people, I think that there was just a very concerted effort to push the suspicion towards leftists. Like it seemed like a very,
they were there to be leftists saying, yeah, you killed him too. Like they were, and then you had 10 different trannies say he'll be dead tomorrow, and then Cash won't look into them. And I was told by TBUSA, well, he doesn't think they can convict him. So, and he tells Tulsi Gabbard, don't look at them and don't look at Israel. So, yeah, but what you have is them pushing a narrative day one that isn't true. You have a clear Chat GPT confession letter. You have the gun found reassembled in a chicken coop when no other gun dogs can find it. The FBI finds it in 2 minutes. I mean, this is ridiculous. There's a magic bullet just like JFK, but even more magic.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so as it relates to the leftists who were there, because I covered this case extensively from the very beginning, and I was one of the only people who was really pushing back hard on the official narrative, but I was still focused pretty heavily on the leftists. I thought it was leftists, and I just thought it was a huge group of them.
Yeah,
now,
we had a bunch of trannies running around killing people.
Cheering.
Sorry, we had a bunch of trannies running around killing people every week. Then it made perfect sense. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And I made some connections between one of the leftists that I thought stood out as a very likely conspirator to the Robin Westman one in Minnesota. I mean, I have this whole thing. I mean, I covered it extensively on that side, but at the end of the day, it's like it wouldn't be challenging to put a bunch of leftists physically there if you leak the fact that something's going to happen there through those channels and you put them there on purpose. Because that's what I was saying is originally I'm like, I don't care if someone just had read in a forum that they're going to clip Charlie that day. If they knew that, showed up, put him in prison for 50 years just for knowing and not saying it.
Jesse, you're on fire. Jesse on fire is our guest. We're going to come right back with him. I agree where he's pointing. I'm not saying 100%, but the other stuff 100% doesn't make sense. It's a lie. But then, but he wasn't really shot. Why dig up all the concrete and say, destroy the crime scene? Again, I mean, this. All right, Jesse on Fire is a very smart guy, and I watch his show every couple of days now. When I first found him like a year ago, I'd watch him here and there. I thought, oh, that's a smart guy. But now he's definitely a go-to. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I always get called that. 98% of what I do is public events. I give my analysis, my opinion on it, okay? And I have guests on to talk about interesting things. And the media will take snippets out of context or this or that. It's just what they do. And people actually find the show. They go, well, this is different than what I thought it was. But, I mean, military experts, a week into it, and I didn't really get in arguments with Sean Johnson. I was just like, that's bold, man. I know these guys, and they're a bunch of, happy campers. And he goes, yeah, okay, well, and then the 30-06 thing, all that's even more insane. And you watch their body language, and I didn't know he was going to cover this topic there. I have it already. Guys, pull up. There's pretty up-close video of when they grab him and put him behind the deal, and they're sitting there smiling, and it's low energy, and when they're carrying him to the car, I mean, I'm sorry. I've had Green Berets on, people that have, medics, you name it, even them that are trained, when they're putting pressure on blood and bullet holes, they are stressed out. Their eyes are like this. I mean, I've been at car wrecks and helped people, and I know I'm all adrenaline, all like this. I mean, even paramedics are like that. You don't see somebody you really known for over a decade. They're good for, I mean, I've had friends hurt before, and you see their compound fracture or something, you got to get sick of your stomach because you care about this person, even if you're tough. I didn't see people puking. I didn't see any of the stuff you'd see out of if you had like 20 of your crew with you, I guarantee if somebody shot me in the neck and I'm bleeding out, there'd be crew puking, there'd be people freaking out, at least some of them. You didn't see any of that. You saw them running around like they had football plays, grabbing all the equipment, grabbing it was all super rehearsed. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then, and the lack of blood. That was one of the things too that I heard prior to me even entertaining this theory was like, I heard guys that are, very, very experienced special ops guys. And they're like, where is the blood all over their hands, their shirts, their feet, their shoes, everything. There should be an enormous amount of blood on all of these guys. And they're carrying him. There's no blood trail on the cement. They ignore the first aid guy when they try to approach the car. And it's just, and again, I thought, if you wanted to boil my theory down to a single concept, it's that everybody sees these inconsistencies and they have less faith in humanity than I do, where I'm like, these guys are not going to conspire to kill him. So if there are all these inconsistencies, it has to be something else because these are good people. Like they're not going to do that. So that's literally the only place where I differentiate from everybody else is that
I think
I'm giving all of them the benefit of the doubt and they're interpreting it to be murder because they're taking for granted that Charlie's
But then
dead and I'm
the
not.
30-06 steel neck crap and all this, none of that adds up.
Oh yeah, it's not nonsense. Yeah, we went. Myself and Heavy Duty
I wish I
Country
quit
has a
playing this
huge channel
shit,
on
to be honest
YouTube
with
as
you.
well, and we went out to his ranch and we shot every single type of 30-06 at like these huge roasts. We put a big cow femur behind it. It obviously just tore through everything. Valhalla VFT went out there. He shot. I think it was like 1/2-inch steel. 30-06 went straight through it. And I mean, so they said that it was frangible rounds. So I went on the internet. The only frangible rounds I could find were relics from World War II, and I bought them. They were like $12 each round. I think we got 6 of them. And you know, people were like, "You probably shouldn't shoot those." And we're like, "Well, we're just going to roll the dice." And we shot them, but you could hear that the powder had degraded. They were probably going half or maybe even 40% as fast as they would have been normally.
Barely made it
and
out the barrel.
Still ripped straight through the roast and straight through the bone, all of it.
Sure, I watched the report and I other people's as well, and I saw.
Yeah, that's
people
why I
going,
believe
it was a Sabo. Well, if it was a Sabo with a smaller round, it goes even through things faster. It just and again, you have those air marshal 9mm that don't go through the plane. Still, they go through a neck. So yeah, absolute horse crap.
Yeah, I mean, it's just there's nothing there. There's nothing there, man, on a neck.
So no one's buying
to even slow it down,
really. Undoubtedly, you watch Trump's poll numbers. Turk gets killed. They cover up Epstein. The Iran war. He's gone from like 56 points or even higher to 30 now. Don't they get that this has not worked well for them?
I mean, yeah, that's the other thing is sometimes like some of the kind of standard pushback that I get is they're like, okay, well, so why would the administration have agreed to this? I'm like, did you see Butler? I'm like this. So it's not just that it was going to be, if it would have worked, it would have been a positive thing for their, forthcoming control of the government. But the other thing is like, it's like what you would have had to get a yes from Trump. And it's like, so what is going to motivate Trump? And immediately following the assassination, they publicly announced that they had deemed Antifa and these left-wing groups as domestic terrorists, and that unlocks the Patriot Act. And they specifically said that they were then going to be able to target the people who are funding those groups, which are undoubtedly the exact people who are trying to put Charlie in prison, trying to put Trump in prison. So it would have been the context.
And now let's expand on that.
Bury those guys.
100%. Now what happened at the UFC? Now that FBI experts on you name it. But the FBI famously hatches like 97% of these terror plots with Muslims. Same thing here. Oh, it's Antifa. Oh, it's anti-data centers. Oh, they're anti-AIPAC. Now let's ban anybody that criticizes AIPAC. That's what the Israeli operatives are calling for. And then they put out this new terrorism prospectus alert that the domestic terrorism is the main threat. And I get it. The left are terrorists, Teslas, I agree. But when they do something, but instead, we got to surveil everybody and ban criticizing AIPAC. Now it shifts from don't kill conservatives or anybody else to, if you're anti-AIPAC, you're a terrorist. And then you look at all these people they've indicted. They literally all live with their mother. Like one of them had a gun. They had like 80 IQs. None of it was real. It was all delusional crap. They called it a very serious threat. They stopped. Whole thing a PR exercise. What do you think?
I totally agree with you. And the other thing that I noticed about that particular story was the day that they announced it, they said that they had arrested.
How to drain lymph fluid like a true American.
This simple trick is transforming lives. It sounds crazy.
5 people of a 23-person plot in a signal group, which made me think, the Whitmer one, it was like, they got 2 or 3 guys that they entrapped and then like 12 agents and informants.
Hey,
so if you only arrested 5 of the 23, then how many of the other people were just entrapping these guys? And then they ran another story after that a couple days later where they said that local law enforcement was upset that Cash had announced the arrest because it somehow jammed them up from making additional arrests, which I think was probably them, responding to people pointing out that they had only arrested 5 of 23. And they're like, they're like, well, now we can't do it. We can't make the other arrests because, Cash announced it or whatever. You know what I mean?
And that also adds the cover up. And guys, I had this from the top of TPUSA, and then I got it from inside the cabinet. I broke all this. Remember, like 6 days after he was killed. Cash comes in. I have the president's authority. We're not looking at foreign intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, Joe Kent, and we're not looking at the trannies that said he'll be dead tomorrow. And so I raised that to TPUSA. They go, well, he didn't think they could get the convictions. Whatever. It's the proof. It's trannies. But if you don't have it's the proof, it's them, then you don't want to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep. And everybody thinks that I mean, I don't know this to be a fact, and I'm certainly not trying to throw anybody in a jackpot, but I've been operating under the assumption that Joe Kent was the original source who got that word out that Cash had blocked their ability to look into foreign ties. And again, that's one of those things where I understand why people would be, I mean, everybody, of course, is going to assume that Israel did it because they had motive. They have a history of, assassinating their detractors or people who are, getting in between them and what they want. You had Charlie specifically railing against the future Iran war. Now they
said that wasn't true, and then Candace released all the receipts, which I confirmed. He called and thanked me for stopping the war at Midnight Hammer. He called me, and I'm like, really? Well, thank you. And he's calling a bunch of people. So I knew I was supposed to have the text messages, but let me just throw this at you. Let me clear it up. And I'm sure Kent was involved. It was not Joe Kent told me at the cabinet meeting with the vice president, Joe Kent, Tulsi Gabbard, a bunch of others, Susie Walls, and Trump. But Trump left the meeting. He always does that. And then Patel's like, I have the president's backing. We're not looking at any foreign involvement. You're not supposed to be involved in my intelligence, which he said he was going to abolish the intelligence arm of the FBI, get rid of the building. Her agency was created to share intelligence and be over that. So there he is doing that. I got it from somebody else. Then Harrison would never tell me his source. I knew he'd had Joe Kent on before. Harrison Smith goes to this Ron Paul 90th birthday or whatever about a month before he's killed. High-level folks come over and are like, yeah, no, Charlie's afraid they're going to kill him. He makes some calls. I'm not going to say when. I'm going to give you the whole details. Joe Kent was already looking at this. So they already thought. Mm-hmm. And then afterwards, then he calls Harrison up after he's killed. So, yeah, Joe Kent at the National Counterterrorism Center had his ear to the ground and was really doing his job.
Yeah, he's one of the guys that you look at, and I just am always going to take for granted that he's doing the right thing. There's not a lot of them. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of people where I just trust their motives.
Oh, well, Mark Levin said, who is this
Charlie's
pop? What's he know?
And so is Joe Kent.
Only 18 combat terrorists killed trying to save kids with the CIA. What's he know? He's just a damn war hero, a soldier. What do you know, pal?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Gold Star husband, too. And they, these guys, when they started their propaganda tour against him, I was like, that's an aggressive.
Is it 12 tours or 18 tours? I think it was 12 tours.
I think it was 11.
It was 11 of the Green Berets.
I could be wrong.
And then a bunch for the CIA, though. I think it was total 18 years, though. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and his wife got killed over there, too. And it's like, I remember one of them said that there was a conversation about that, and someone had belittled his service, and then they talked about his,
I believed
he lost his wife in the war on terror.
When I listened to Joe Kent's interview with Tucker, I believed him.
What? He got remarried. I'm like, what? Like, who are these people? They're aliens.
Well, no, that was Trump. Trump said, he sure got remarried fast. What a year. What do you think happens when somebody blows up your wife? You better go get one real quick. You're gonna commit suicide.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
No
that was
that's called a rebound.
That's a bad comment. It's a bad comment for sure.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's like Frank Herbert's wife. I'm a fan of Frank Herbert. Read biography about him. She was dying of heart failure, and she said, honey, go get yourself a great wife right now, or you're going to end up not eating and dying. And he went and went and got married like a few months after because she told him to. I mean, it's like it's the idea that you get married. Like it's like Massey, 6 months after his wife dies, gets married. What are you supposed to do? Just slit your wrist?
Yeah. No, and I've made this public. I mean, I've talked about this to my wife 1,000 times, and I've said it publicly just so that in the event that ever happened, I'm like, I would support one of my friends marrying my wife. Like I would consider that one of the most loyal things a person can do. You're going to take care of my kids after I'm gone. Like you think I want my wife living on her own? It's like,
no, you don't want to be
I've already
That's
vetted
exactly
someone
what
who's
I
one
told
of my good
Amanda.
friends. At least I know they're solid.
Me and her had this conversation the other day. I was like, look, if something happens to me, don't sit here and not do nothing. Live your life. You don't live but once. Just don't go marry some fucking idiot and give him all my shit. You know what I mean? Let the kids have my stuff, but go be happy. Don't just sit here and mope around the fucking house until there's nothing left of you. Like, why would you want if you care about somebody, why would you want them to be lonely? That doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
You know, people are like, oh, you're going to be
Not
down with them.
betrayed me.
It's just, I don't know. I mean,
well, here's a story. My dad called him his
uncle.
uncle, but really he was his older cousin. Great combat vet, incredible guy in intelligence, all this stuff. And he had his best buddy that was a big Army armorer, and he died of cancer. And my dad's uncle's wife had just died of a brain aneurysm. She was pretty young. And he said, I'm dying. Please marry my wife. And you know what? He did. He married her and took care of her whole family. And that was the best thing a buddy could do. He asked him to do it.
That's one of the most selfless things that a person could do. And when people interpret that, I mean, obviously circumstances could make that not that, but in that situation, it's one of the most, that's the best friend that you could have.
Well, these people just haven't lived. They're not sophisticated. So expanding on
let's talk about what happened yesterday at the meeting. And I heard you.
Hold on. We got some time the next hour unless you got to go. But I want to put bookends on Kirk.
Oh, no, I don't have to go.
What needs to happen now with Kirk? I mean, where do you see this going? Because nobody's buying it.
Honestly, I don't see I have no idea, because what my theory has been is that the plan was to do this. Erica was then going to be elevated. She was going to basically be the new Charlie. He would be advising her, and he'd still be running the show behind the scenes. She would be the public face. He still runs the company or the organization. And I think, and this is all just hypothesis, but I think that maybe Candace had conflict with people in high places at TPUSA, which forced them to not include her in this plan. And between the two things, which is A, what if Erica can't pull off grieving wife? And B, what if Candace smells a rat? And that's like, if Candace smells a rat, she's going to burn your house to the ground. Like, she's the last person that you would ever want with a genuine motivation to like bring people to justice in that situation. She's a dragon. And if you kept her on the outside of this plot and Erica's not pulling it off, so then she starts smelling a rat because she knows all of them and they're lying. At the end of the day, it's like, there are a lot of people who talk to me about this. They're like, well, why wouldn't they just start giving more public, transparent answers? I'm like, because it'll look like they whacked him out. They conspired to fake whack him out. You can't come out. He's probably in the program. And so I don't know what their options would be. You know what I mean?
Well, I know Barry Jennings was the deputy head of New York Emergency Management when he came on our show. He gave us an interview saying that he was in World Trade Center 7. The CIA came in. They said, we're about to blow the building up. You got to get out. They already detonated some bombs. And then a week later, he dies of cancer. And then we send reporters to the house. The neighbors go, no, he's still alive. They loaded up trucks, witness protection program. I mean, they do that.
Mm-hmm.
And they told
do you
him.
know what my theory on Building 7 is?
Tell us.
I've said that it's super short. I think Flight 93 was supposed to hit 7. And I think that because 93 went down, and then they realized they're scrambling. They're like, this thing is loaded to the gills with explosives, man. We can't leave it there or else they're going to find all the explosives. And that's why they had to pull it down. And it's total hypothesis.
It is speculation, but I've heard that from a lot of experts. But if you look at the trajectory coming out of Pennsylvania, it could have been going to New York or D.C. The word was it was going to hit the Capitol. Mm-hmm. And that's why happy hooligans out of the Dakotas, but were stationed in Pennsylvania then, got the order. Actually, I heard this when it happened, but it came out in FAA tapes. They put 2 AIM-9s into Flight 93. That's why.
We're at battle, and you don't even know it. It's called the Swollen Legs War. Americans have been sold dirt at the price of gold. The United States has become weak.
I was over like a 7-8 mile range, and the engine's over here. And then there's just a little smoking hole. What do you think of that B-52 blowing up and there's nothing there? Did you see that last week?
No.
Yeah, the B-52.
My wife was trying to show that to me, and I didn't. She was literally trying to show me that for an hour, and I can't remember what I was. No, I didn't see it. What happened?
We'll show it later. I have to pull it up. I mean,
okay.
It's Flight 93. I mean, it got shot down. They do this all the time. The Russians did it during the Afghan war too. Is that you get aircraft shot down, you don't want to admit it, so you say there's accidents back in the country. That's the oldest trick of the book. Oh, training accident with a helicopter. The B-52, there's nothing there.
What's up, Michael? We watched the thing on Tucker this morning talking about the Israel stuff, and now they're talking about.
So you're talking for inventory, like they have to inventory the fact that they don't have the B-52 anymore, so they do this.
Yeah, and say it just blew up and all 8 died, and really, remember the Air Force came out a few months ago and said they can now shoot down any of our aircraft even 100,000 feet, and it's because
I wonder who gave them that technology.
Our little pals over in China and Russia,
yeah.
But let's just stop there because we're running wild here, and it's a great interview. Moving on now, what do you want to tackle next? Because you got the Strait of Hormuz situation, you've got what's happening in Iran. Let's hit that now. It takes a few minutes. Then I want to get into this individual, and I've seen this, and I don't know what to say, out in Palm Beach. I think they might have staged Epstein's death. I think that's very legitimate. In fact, we'll talk about that at the time. But now, just looking at Trump in general, can he pull out of this before the midterms? What do you make of Israel trying to take over the military and Pentagon and the NDAA? What do you make of Levin saying now Trump's bullying Israel by not staying in a war that we're not winning, that the Pentagon said we wouldn't win? You've got a lot of astute things to say about that.
So yesterday, when Iran walked, after, and they said, Trump already broke the agreement because he threatened us. And then I started looking into exactly what everybody was saying. And Lindsey Graham went on Fox News and literally said verbatim what Trump had written in the Post, which they were referencing in the threats. Exactly. I mean, to the word. And he said that he had talked to Trump for 4.5 hours. And, hey, if the deal doesn't happen, then the United States is going to take over the Strait of Hormuz and we're going to start charging tolls. And we're going to whack out these guys before they even get back to Iran. And I'm looking at this going, dude, Trump already announced that the world emergency oil reserves have 4 weeks left of emergency oil reserves. Like, what are you? And if we could have just taken over the Strait of Hormuz, why would we have been making this deal all along instead of just doing that? It doesn't even make any sense. Like, it doesn't. The whole thing makes no sense.
But he said last week we can't take the Strait because they've got all these short-range missiles and artillery. And then he was quoting the Pentagon saying, no, they can hold it no matter what we do. They have 10 to 1 the amount of weapons and troops are willing to die. And then he's back to, we'll just take it. Yeah, it's like you spin the dial, you get a different Trump every hour.
Spin the dial.
Yeah. I mean, if I said early on that like the only negotiating tactic that I could see working, given the fact that they can keep the ships from going through the Strait, regardless of having a small whatever military, all they have to do is threaten to hit them with drones, is we would have to start hitting all the ships that are going to their allies. It's like a game of chicken. That's the only thing that I could see that would work, is because then all of their allies are going to put pressure on them and be like, look, you need to make a deal because we are going to starve also. But I don't know. I don't really know what they were doing with the blockade, but either way, at this point, 4 weeks of emergency oil, we just need to make the deal and just do whatever needs to get done to not, have this thing fall through.
And then Mark Levin says, we're wimps. We're not like the World War II generation. Well, it took 110,000 Marines and Navy to take, just Iwo Jima, and we lost 25,000 troops fighting 23 Japanese, 23,000. Do you understand the Pentagon said 200,000 troops to take the Strait of Hormuz? Don't you understand that, Mark Levin? Don't you understand it didn't work, you dumb son of a bitch?
Yeah, it's crazy. How many total ground troops do we have in the entire American military? I don't even know the number. We can't even deploy 300,000 ground troops right now. Period. Yeah. And if we do, we're going to put like, let's say we deployed 100, we're going to put a third of our total ground troops in one spot. And I mean, the whole thing, it just doesn't even make any sense. And
don't forget the Strait of Hormuz is built like an impossible scenario, the worst place to invade ever. I mean,
yeah, that's how they held it forever. If you think about it too, this has the worst possible scenario for Israel, which means that they're going to fight real hard to keep this thing going. But at the same time, if everybody runs out of emergency oil reserves, the oil prices spike. There's going to be shortages if this deal doesn't happen.
Yeah, for those that don't know, I know you know this. The oil council said $150, $200 a barrel within 4 weeks if this continues. And then, folks,
and then it's going to get much worse.
That's a depression.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw. Was he on your show or was it on Tucker? I saw a guy say that we were going to see 36% reduction in output over the next 2-3 months either way as a result of what's already happened.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's already baked in for almost a year, the problems, and it just gets worse as we go. Like if they totally open today, it's baked in, big recession.
Yeah. I don't know. What would you do in terms of dealing with, our greatest ally over there? Because they painted themselves into a corner, and which makes us painted into a corner. There is no other way to interpret this that I can tell other than Iran's power in the region and the world has gone up 10x now, because they can always just threaten to shut down the strait. And the
longer we stay in,
military,
the better it is for them. Yeah, which the Pentagon told Trump don't do it, and Israel knew that and lied to him. And the IDF did, and they said don't do it, but the Mossad and Ben Gvir and Netanyahu did. That's why Trump says I've lost a lot of respect for Israeli hardliners. Yeah, because you let them con you. It doesn't let you out of it. We understand you didn't start the thing. You're not the most guilty, and it's good he's trying to pull out. But I mean, that's all Trump can do. Here's what Trump can do to Israel. He's already pulled the refueling tankers. He just says, that's it. He has to bite the bullet. He has to say, I'm cutting off all military aid. Tell AIPAC, you go ahead and try to primary people, and then they will come to heel at that point, or they'll stage a new 9/11. Because you've seen all the Israeli operatives saying, oh, we need a new 9/11. And knowing Israel's history with this particular group that is chutzpah on chutzpah, I think Netanyahu will activate sleeper cells. They'll blow up some buildings and blame it on Iran. And I think that's why I'm inoculating the public psychologically to be ready for that.
Yeah, and that's a good move, because I think the only defense against that is to have so many people talking about it that they know that we'll see right through it. Did you see that story on Glenn Beck's show where there was the dam in Mobile, Alabama, and they were doing random, totally unrelated
and found an underwater professional mine on it.
Yes, that would blow the dam, and they just found that by pure luck. And you're like, I wonder how many of those are positioned all around the United States that can just be, if someone gives the order. A lot, probably.
And Israel's famous for packing Trojan horses and electronics, not just pagers. Let's come back and finish up with this. And then I want to get into, where's Larry Silverstein? You think you know where he is. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Ladies and gentlemen, we are listener and viewer supported.
That's crazy.
It's very simple. TheAlexJonesStore.com. You back us. You fund us. You are everything. And we bring you the very best products, the very best supplements, the very best water filtration systems.
That's crazy, man.
All right, I want to finish up with Israel, because after our guest leaves us, I'm going back into Israel and 9/11, because they're saying, how dare you say we had a motive? How dare you say we were involved? Oh, come on. Take 10 hours to go into the evidence. We'll hit some of it here today. But finishing up, you also sent me some clips of British Colonel Richard Kemp at this big Jewish conference last week.
Hey, Joy. How you doing?
Again, that Mark Levin and Netanyahu were at. And at the same conference,
my old crazy cousin, boy, he's feeling himself this morning.
The Israeli ambassador to the U.S., and I said that on purpose, Huckabee says, I'd rather live in Israel than the U.S., and I think Trump may fire me any day. So they're really, and you got Levin saying, Trump, how dare you bully Israel, the arrogance of that. But here's Richard Kemp saying he's happy to be a goy, which means, I guess, a cattle or a subhuman servant. And then I have at the World Jewish Conference another billionaire saying the same thing. So this is this new thing they're doing. And I don't want to be on the Israel beat. I don't want to be attacking Israel. I know this is
me neither.
But I mean, Israel's really gone on crazy town megalomania behavior. Here's a clip.
I speak as a goy, a mere goy. The Jews were put on the face of the earth to be a light unto nations. And Israel is being that light in defense of its own country. And I think most particularly, not just in military technology, but in the way in which those extraordinary men and women of the IDF have shown the world how to fight. And many countries in Western Europe, which are going to face this violence, will be looking to Israel to see how they're going to fight. So the narrative is one thing, but action, I think, is even more important.
Why should Zionism be an idea and a goal that only Jews can embrace? I'm a goy, and I'm a Zionist. with all my heart, out of conviction, and with passion. First, we need a zero-tolerance policy towards open hatred of Jews. All anti-Semites in word and deed, regardless of their origin, must be expelled wherever legally possible. British politician and Conservative Party leader Kami Badenoch put it clearly and courageously, I quote, "Anything that's inciting violence against Jews has got to go," quote end. We need this statement and its consequences not only in Britain, but in
that's
every
the CEO of Axel
democratic
Springer, a billionaire. And I'm not going to go into the whole thing. He said we got to censor everybody, silence everybody. They have the head of the World Jewish Conference a month ago saying, we're losing. We spent billions of dollars propagandizing the Americans and they hate us more because you're out in the open trying to run things and running things and primarying people and then saying, you're bullying us. How dare you? Where do you see this ending? Where do you see an off-ramp for Israel? I think Trump should back Netanyahu's opposition. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing, like, I have nothing but love for everybody. Everybody. I got no conflict with anyone except for when specific decisions and actions that are being taken are clearly in opposition to positive outcomes for the United States. And, and obviously if they cross over into, barbaric behavior that's hurting women and children. And so but that thing about I'm just a goy thing is just so, I just thought it's so bizarre. Who would open a speech like that? And it's like, just be normal, man. Like, is that required of you to speak in that environment? You have to say something like that. It's super weird. But if that represents an ideology that leads to, why they behave the way that they do, that could explain a lot of it. But
let's say what it is. Let's say what it is. This is public bootlicking. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. No, exactly. Absolutely. And, it's no different than that you want to talk about the woke Reich, where they're like, oh, the woke Reich. It's like, that is nearly identical. They have the same exact tactics as the far left did during the 2020, all the Black Lives Matter stuff. It's all the same. They call them names. They make people come out and act like that. They get the FBI agents all take a knee back then. It's just, it's like, you would think that they would have been paying attention during COVID and recognize like, this does not work anymore. This is the opposite of effective. It is going to be a huge negative effect on whatever you're trying to do. It doesn't work. Everybody recognizes it instantly. It's bad for business.
I've been on air 32 years before there was social media, before most people were even really on the internet. You really wasn't much news on the internet. You couldn't really find news. It was mainly just little, silly pictures, and you go to a website. It really is in the Defense Authorization Act to integrate and merge and be given all of our intelligence and all of our weapons and profit from it as if it co-owns us. It's a merger. It's a marriage. It's an integration. It's a fusion. These are terms they use. And then experts have looked at it and said, no, that's what it does. And the Senate Intelligence Bill copies it. They've got 15 bills that do this. That's an attempted coup. And Netanyahu says that's his answer to Congress wanting to cut the money. And then primarying people. And so I was asking, you got cut off by the break and I was interrupting with something you were previously saying, but what is Israel's off-ramp? Because I want to be clear, you've got all the former Mossad chiefs, most of their top generals, they're on Israeli TV saying, look, this will destroy Israel in the end. If you think out, they're going to take Lebanon, they're going to attack Turkey, they want to go out. It's like a fat person at a buffet who orders like 20 plates. You might eat 10 plates, you can't eat 30. And if you're a person who understands geopolitics, military, and you listen to even the other experts, they're saying this is a disaster. Now, Trump knows he got bravadoed and chutzpah'd into this. That's admitted. Now he's pissed, saying he lost respect for Netanyahu and people. Okay, then get on the off-ramp. So but leaving Trump out of it, and then back to Trump, how does Israel off-ramp this? Is there any hope of that? And how does Trump off-ramp it in closing? And then we'll move to the last topic.
Honestly, I have no idea. The reason I never spoke about this region until the Iran war was because I don't like talking about things where I don't feel like I have like a full throttle, 360 degree understanding of a topic. And over there, I'm like, I don't know enough to talk about this. It was only when Trump got us into the Iran war, like that was it. All through the Epstein stuff, I was very, very consistent that I'm like, I don't think Trump is dirty on Epstein in the way that they are saying that he is. I don't see it. That you have the attorney who represented the 234 victims in the 2004 case, and all of them said was if they even interacted with him, that he was a gentleman and kind to them and had no, his hands weren't dirty at all. The lawyer confirmed that. And so I'm like, what? He just didn't touch any of these ones when he was best friends with them. He's doing other stuff. It doesn't make any sense to me. But as soon as he attacked Iran, that's when I went and did a complete and total flip, because that was as crystal clear as you could possibly be. That was the core foreign policy promise: no foreign wars. And you attacked Iran, and so then you have to start looking around. You're like, why did he do this?
And it turns out it's confirmed he was never even briefed on the Strait of Hormuz, which I saw you even before the war started saying Strait of Hormuz will be closed, which everyone knew. He didn't even have the basic understanding.
And you got to ask, how is that even possible? How does that happen? And as soon as they closed the strait, I remember instantaneously having a conversation with someone a lot smarter than me. And I'm like, this is checkmate, right? And he's like, yeah, it's checkmate. I mean, you knew immediately. It's like, this is checkmate. There's how are we going to solve this problem without boots on the ground, which has always been a huge, red line. I mean, I guess the attack in the first place was a red line, but boots on the ground is a real red line.
It's the red line because the Pentagon said next it'll be ground troops Strait of Hormuz. They told him. He just, he told Tucker last time they talked about 3 weeks in, he goes, don't worry, it always ends up okay, anything I do. Well, it's not, by the way, Tucker's on tomorrow, 1 p.m. It's not ending. It's not ending the way Netanyahu told him. And Netanyahu knew they were suckering us into full quagmire regime change. They knew it was going to cause a world economic problem, but Israel pig-headedly didn't care.
Yep. And one thing I could say is that when Trump gets into a position where people are being critical of him, he starts to kind of spaz out and he starts saying things that he shouldn't very, very quickly. Like, example, where they're calling him a pussy. So he says, well, listen, I had we only have 4 weeks of emergency global oil reserves. And you're like, why would you have told Iran that? Why would you tell them that? Now they have like the leverage now they know you have no choice. They can do whatever they want. The other thing that he did early on that was similar to that was when Japan and
this little known cholesterol particle makes LDL sticky.
Yeah,
so
I wondered why he said that too. I knew that was a fucking mistake when he said it.
At that
because let me tell you, if I had an issue with somebody and they said something like that, I'd be like, oh no, where you going, bitch? Come here. We're not done. Yeah, he brought that on himself. Sometimes Trump just needs to shut the fuck up.
Summit, and the Japan chancellor, whatever, was like, why didn't you tell it? Or I'm sorry, the journalist was like, why didn't you tell Japan that you were thinking about doing this? And he's like, why didn't you tell us that you were going to do Pearl Harbor? And I was like, dude, that's our ally that's 97% reliant on Middle Eastern oil. How do you think that's going to translate into Japanese in the newspapers? And it was like his poll went down like, I don't know, 1,000,000% instantaneously. It's like, this is dumb. It's just a dumb thing to say.
And for those that don't know, the Japanese, particularly with face saving, they've always said we're the boss, basically did whatever we said, because into their system, we beat them. So they had to sit there and go along with it. But then you don't rub it in 80 years later. They took that as a rub it in, not as a little cutesy joke about, you snuck attack us. And, plus he's saying, and I committed the crime you did, ha, 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 which was also dishonorable. And they just don't even know how to interface with it. They don't even know how to deal with it. But what about the other statements? Are you concerned about the pain American households are feeling? No, I don't think about anybody's pain, any individual American's pain. I only think about war. We're in a war now. Or I don't care about Medicare.
That's not quite what he said. He was saying, like, if y'all heard it, y'all know. He was saying, no, I don't think about that. This has to be done. It doesn't matter what kind of pain anybody's going through. This has to be done.
Medicaid or health care or child care, we're in a war. Or, sir, what about inflation? It's really high. I love inflation. He acts more and more like a baby.
Yep. And those kind of comments too, you just got to ask yourself, it's like the media has done such a good job about making, things like Medicaid, Medicare about, some kind of political partisan divide, where if you are not in one of these camps, this is just common sense. You're like, how much are we spending to go and destroy infrastructure and things over there.
No doubt, Copper Top. No doubt.
And
well,
we're
he does
complaining
it.
about.
He does it because he's tired of being trolled. He's letting these fucking news organizations troll him and get to him, and he's not used to that. He's used to everybody doing what he says when he says. So when he gets pushback, he doesn't handle it very well.
I'm sorry, what was the cost that I was reading about? That's this huge line item that we need to cut to give poor people basic health care. It's like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, exactly. And just the inflation
is
is killing the recovery. It's costing us in the aggregate trillions. Exactly. And then we're talking about tens of billions shortfall here. And look, we do have to change it. We do have to innovate. We do have to cut some things. But you don't, right before midterm, go, screw your Medicare and Medicaid. And I don't care if you're in pain. I mean, it's like if the DNC was sitting around and saying, if we could mind control Trump, what would we have him say to make them lose? Have him start a war with Iran, destroy the economy, say he doesn't care about the average American's economic peril, say you love inflation, and say you don't care about Medicare and Medicaid.
And then I throw in there that if you care about the Epstein crime, then I don't want you as a supporter. That's a good one.
And Epstein's a hoax.
It's a Democrat hoax. Yep.
And then
ludicrous.
And then you and I are supposed to then, who've been Trump supporters in the past, better than Democrats, we're the traitors, Qatari agents, because we're saying this is a whole idea. But we're vindicated now. But the Trump worshipers, maybe 30% of his base that's left, they don't care. They think if they just agree with him, that it's magic, it's like Q stuff, and everything's going to be okay. It's not okay.
No. And any time that I'm soft on my critique compared to lots of other people, I just go, why? Like, perfect example, when I said, why would you have said that we only have 4 weeks of emergency global oil reserves into a microphone at G7? There is no 4D chess here. That's just an absolute political, strategic, negotiating blunder of epic, historic proportions. And
it's like saying in the last...
that's just what it is.
It's like at the end of a poker game and saying, I don't have any cards.
Yeah, here I'm all in and I got nothing.
That's 3D chess, bro. You didn't know that?
Yeah. Yeah. And then coming over the top with that, hey, if they don't sign, then we're just going to invade the Strait of Hormuz. Like, all in, have nothing, and then you just show them your cards face up. You're like, go ahead, call if you want, just makes no sense. Makes no sense.
But here's the deal. He's 80 years old. He doesn't sleep. And I don't want to say he's got dementia, but it's out of control. And what is your prognosis for the midterms? Because that's why I'm so mad. I want Trump to succeed. So we got Trump over here kind of flailing around. He's like a light bulb going out. It kind of brightens for a minute, and then it goes out, and it's even brighter. So I'm like, oh, look, it's bright. Oh, it's dark. And meanwhile, the Democrats are like, we're in a big tank, and there's a wall with another tank of starving piranhas on the other side. And I'm sitting there, Trump's outside the tank, and he can open it up. It's locked. Like, please let me out of the tank. Knock, 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 knock. He's like, nope, not let you out of the tank. And then I'm watching the clock, and the piranha gate's going to open, and we're all going to get eaten. That's how I see Trump.
That's exactly how I feel. Because there is no scenario under any circumstances that I would vote for the DNC candidates. Like, what's his name? In New York, oh my God, whatever his name is, Mondani. They passed a law in New York that it was another one of these woke like gender things. They just did it, and you're like, what are they?
Yeah, they're going bankrupt, and he hundreds of millions of dollars to cut penises off.
Yeah, and then you got 5 minutes ago, in my mind, I was locked in my house, and I had people telling my kids they had to put masks on, or else they couldn't go to school, and they had to take shots. We left. That's why we live in Texas. We left California because they took our kids' medical exemptions away on their vaccines because my oldest had been injured, and both my wife and I had we went through all this genetic testing, and they literally made our legal medical exemptions illegal all at once. Every single person.
That's right. When you have a doctor saying anybody damaged by a vaccine, they'll tell you never take one again. I know people this happened to. I didn't know it happened to you. You're like, I have a medical doctor saying don't do it. They're like, screw you. We own your body.
Yeah. Your kids have to take all 50 of these or else they can't go to school. private school, public school, whatever. So we just bounced.
Well, that's why so many people, I use Cat Turd, who's on X. People aren't on X to know who he is. He just worships anything Trump says. Every mistake is godlike. You know, everybody that's right is wrong. I think people like that are just starstruck, and they just know Trump's better than Democrats, so they just think cheerleading will make him succeed. No, you have to get on his ass to keep Mark Levin and them from controlling his brain. So now Trump sounds just like you and I. The strait's closed. We got to end it. Lost a lot of faith for the Israel hardliners. They were wrong. We got to off-ramp. Israel better start appreciating us. We're the only ones saving you. That's what I've been saying. And then do I get an apology? And I'm not singling him out, but just Cat Turd's kind of the gold standard of idiocy. Do I get an apology from him that your Lord and Savior now sounds just like me, Cat Turd? No, I don't. I was trying to save your Lord and Savior. I was trying to get your Lord and Savior to stop it.
Yeah, you get to differentiate at least between the MAGA loyalists who are going to back Trump all the time or the make-believe ones that are going to back Israel all the time. Now you can figure out who's who at least. You know what I mean?
Well, that's it. Anybody now for this war is openly an Israeli operative.
Yeah.
Which we know Netanyahu,
exactly that.
They've spent $500 million last year. They just earmarked a month ago, $768 million more for paying influencers. So when you see this mindless crap and, you know, people, arrest anyone that criticizes AIPAC, that Laura Loomer, you know, or censor everybody. I mean, come on, Laura. Laura's like, I don't work for Israel. Mark Levin, I don't work for Israel. Bull crap, bro. What do you make of that?
Same. I mean, it's obvious. Again, it's easy to identify now because there is, I mean, especially, again, the 4 weeks of oil reserves. As soon as he says that at G7, you are like, there is no conversation here. Israel needs to stop bombing Lebanon now, obviously, so that we can get this deal done. And if you are saying something different, explain yourself. Why is that figure that he just announced not so overwhelmingly concerning to you that it trumps every other possible consideration?
I agree. Here's another analogy. Let's say you're in round 3 UFC and you get knocked down, ding, 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 the bell, but the referee doesn't know that the guy hit you and suddenly you've gone blind. Let's just say from a concussion. And you don't tell your corner you've gone blind. You're going to get back up and get hurt even worse. But Trump essentially went over to the referee and said, I can't see. I've got, but didn't say I tap out. Doesn't matter. You tell the rep, I can't see. He's going to go, that's it. Call the fight. Saying, we're out of oil. They win, which they already know that. But the point is, why would you say it? I know why you go back to this. It's so crazy. It's fundamentally the opposite of good strategy.
Yeah. It's like negotiating 101. This would be like, they could write an entire chapter in a book using.
Americans used to enjoy swelling free legs, even into their 80s. But now, almost 85%.
This is the example of how to, in the art of war, if you're weak, you act strong. And if you're strong, if you want to potentially trap them when you're strong, you act weak. But, when you're weak, which we are, because we're about to run out of oil, you don't tell everyone in the world that we are as weak as we've ever been, because you can't run society at all without oil. And we only have 4. We're going to run out in 4 weeks. It's like,
see, here's the thing, right? America has enough oil for itself, but the businesses like BP and Exxon and, the rest of them, they're going to sell it to the highest bidder. They're going to take our oil and sell it to the highest bidder. Trump would have to pass a law saying that they can't export oil out of the United States.
For weeks. Like that.
Well, it's like they have books about how to win friends and influence people. This new book Trump's writing is The Art of the Deal. It's the art of destroying yourself and your country very quickly.
Yeah. We got to get the deal done.
All right, let's shift gears.
Like
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I saw something before I came on, though, that it sounds, again, this did come from a very heavily MAGA positive X account, but they did say that
would be
JD Vance had just gotten Iran to agree that part of part of the funds that were going to get released to them was now going to be able to be spent on American farm products. So like they were going to be buying food from us.
Oh yeah. And also
if that's accurate, that's like worst case scenario for Israel. The worst case for Israel would be us having a good relationship with Iran out of this.
No,
thing.
I agree. And Iran has confirmed they're saying they will take inspectors that they're not going to enrich to weapons grade. So that's another big announcement. All right, let's look at this. People can't stop debating these comparisons. Jesse on Fire on X. And I've seen this guy for a month. They say he's Jeffrey Epstein. He looks about 95% like him. You look at the teeth and think it's him. What would the point be of him parading around in Palm Beach? Tell us about this guy.
Honestly, I mean, when I looked at so I thought I saw that there's all kinds of stuff out on him, and I just wasn't even paying attention. And I saw the TikTok where the person had the comparison of the teeth, and I looked at the lower teeth, and I looked at it. I'm like, okay, well, I can't verify that this is actually Palm Beach Pete's teeth and that this is actually Jeffrey Epstein's teeth. So I didn't think a lot about it. But then I had someone who I know personally who went to the Aiden Ross fight. Aiden Ross put on that big fight where Menery fought against Johnny Manziel, and he spent a very long time with Palm Beach Pete off camera. And he was like, listen, dude, he's like, I'm telling you, he's not even hiding the ball. It's him. And I was like, really? He's like, he wanted me to know. And he told me some specific stories. I'm not going to out the guy. But when he said that, I was like, I'm like, okay, so let me actually take a look at this then, because I know this guy. And so I then went and sourced the two pictures, and since Palm Beach Pete had the teeth comparison go viral, since then he has done like a dozen posts where he gives an absolutely perfect view of his bottom teeth on purpose. And the very first one that he did was he puts himself in a dentist chair. He's all, hey guys, where in the world is Palm Beach Pete? I'm here getting my teeth fixed so no one compares my teeth to that really bad guy. You know who I'm talking about. So I went into some of the public, Epstein pictures. It's very hard to find a photograph of Epstein's bottom teeth, but there's one, and I found it. And I found it in like a .org, like that's the picture, the one on the left. And when you look, the only, he's had him shaved down, but if you just look at the numbers, it's like number one is forward on both of them. Number two is back on both of them. The two in the middle, it looks like he's had Invisalign, and those are improved a little bit. But then the other ones, they are identical, forward and back. And then I was like, I wonder if anybody's looked at his ears, because that's how you knew the corpse was not him, from the original announcement, like, oh, here's Epstein's corpse. And you look at the ear, they're like, okay, that's not him. And so when I looked and I did research on what can be changed with plastic surgery and what can't, and the center part, the cartilage structures are that you can't change those, but you can change the outside. So I looked at the cartilage structures and I was like, holy shit, it's the same. And so, I looked at that, and then someone sent me another thing, which had him, there was he showed the same stutter in an interview as Palm Beach Pete, and another one as in one of his depositions as Jeffrey Epstein. And then another guy showed me that he had, emails where his assistant was setting up appointments with a very prominent plastic surgeon in New York. And I'm like, holy shit, it's like, this is really him. And, now when I look at his content, it's like he knew, he got a nose job, obviously, and probably lost about 15 pounds. That's like, that literally is, and, he's had a little bit of adjustment to his teeth. And I'm marveled by that if it is him, that he knew that no one mainstream would take it seriously no matter what you pointed at. It's unbelievable, because I look and I'm like, oh my God, it's like, this is really him. And then when I look at his posts,
I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie,
That's
I
kind
laugh
of fucking
every
far out
single
there.
time, because he's so overtly trolling people who have figured it out that it's hilarious.
Well,
He's
there were
running
also
for mayor of
photos
Palm Beach
months after he died of a guy from a drone getting out of an ATVs, and it looks just like Silverstein. Looks just like Epstein.
Bro, have y'all seen? Have y'all seen the fucking video where those kids sneak onto Epstein Island, and now they're suing those kids, and they want all the revenue from their YouTube video from sneaking onto the island? Like, what the fuck is going on
at his island?
Yep. There's another. I think I saw another one at Zorro too, like the same type of thing where there's a picture, and I think he's got his arms crossed on the Zorro one, and then I think the one at the island, he pops his head up. But I don't know. I mean, listen, I did it, and I mean, I put that whole thing together, put it out, and I thought that was like, I thought it was a headshot. I was looking, to me, I'm like, this is a wrap. And I've showed it to a lot of really smart people. They're all, I don't know. There's some people who are really smart, and they're like, oh yeah, that's him for sure. But I don't know. A lot of people are still not.
Well, let me back you up here.
I mean, there's no way to know for sure.
Let me back you up here, and if you can stay, if you got to go, understand. But I'm going to play these clips.
Yeah. No, we're good.
Remember that on 4chan and 8chan, they had a whistleblower.
Yep.
That came out like 45 minutes before it was announced anywhere that Epstein had killed himself, but he didn't really kill himself. and that they brought him out the back and brought another body out the front. All that matched later.
Yep.
And then you start adding everything else to it. And he was telling everybody, I'm getting out of here soon. And that's the type of witness protection program they do for a CIA Mossad operative. He was actually the head of the Trilateral Commission, it turned out. For David Rockefeller as his stand-in. That's in the document. It's more powerful than I thought. And so Trump wants it all shut down. And so then you have Hillary Rodham Clinton's brother that looked just like Epstein died a few weeks before. He's a spitting image of the body they wheel out. You start adding all this together. It's definitely not Epstein there. They didn't know somebody would get a snapshot of him, of the body. And so you add all that to this, and then all of a sudden Kash Patel and Bongino, that had always covered what we're covering, that clearly didn't kill himself, put out videos saying it's all there. And first it's a minute missing, then 10 minutes missing, and then it's all doctored. Stay there. I want to talk about this. We know there's a cover-up. And then it turns out Trump wants to cover up a Butler right to the top. And Tucker can confirm all that. He's on tomorrow. Because I was at Tucker's house whenever he was getting these calls about some of it. He told me some of it off record, but now he's gone public. I talk about it. Just remember, my source was not Joe Kent about that cabinet meeting about Kash Patel saying don't look at foreign involvement in Charlie Kirk. It was other folks.
I never heard that he was. I just heard that was just a rumor that I.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying he couldn't have been sourced from somebody else. I'm just saying I had other sources. We have the 250th birthday limited edition run of awesome designs for this July 4th, 2026 coming up. And they're now available to ship to you as of today, Monday, June 15th, 2026. And then them just doing some cosmetic surgery on it and things. Do we know Jesse on Fire, that people can find on X at Real Jesse on Fire, Instagram Real Jesse on Fire, X at Real Jesse on Fire, and YouTube Jesse on Fire. Do we know who first reported on Palm Beach Pete? Like, when did he first service? I think that's important.
So he popped up because someone was just driving next to him, supposedly, and they filmed him driving in his car, and then he, and it went viral. Like, hey, is this Pete? It's like, you're talking like a few months ago, but if you want a perfect example of what I'm talking about him trolling everyone once, this is well after everybody's been talking about it being him. Play that clavicular clip with sound. It's super quick. It's like 15 seconds. But that one where my shout out to clavicular, play that with sound. Super quick.
Let me show you the clips. I've got you on the teeth. Oh, sorry, I was eating a piece of sandwich.
This little known cholesterol particle makes LDL sticky, so it clogs up your blood vessels. It ignites harmful inflammation.
The one I'm talking about is number 6.
Okay, here's a clip.
Hey everybody, listen up. It's Palm Beach Pete here. Clav, I'm a big supporter of facial reconstruction, and you're getting a lot of shade on the internet, and that's not right. You continue doing you. I'm a big supporter. Peace out, Palm Beach Pete.
So I can't help but laugh every single time. It's just so like my wife, every time that she watches it, she laughs, and she's like, yeah, but I'm not convinced it's him. I'm like, the whole reason it's funny is if it really is him. It's hilarious. Like he's that confident that nothing comes of any of this, that he can just throw that on the internet in everyone's face and then run for mayor.
Or maybe he's just a good sport. I've said that I'm Bill Hicks. I've had probably 20 times now. I'll be at a restaurant. Barton Springs was the last time it happened. And I'm sitting there with my...
It's totally, look, it's possible, but if you look, if you put their faces side by side, look at their chins. Look at their chins, because like a nose job changes a person's face so drastically that it's kind of it's a gigantic change.
Hey, have we done this? Have you compared his legs? Because there's shots of Epstein in shorts. Hey guys, back that up to when he's walking, and let's find a shot of Epstein in shorts. We need to look at the legs, but go ahead and play clip 64.
He's definitely lost weight. If it is him, he's lost a lot of weight. But the other thing too is I very intentionally I've never done a lick of research into this guy at all on purpose, because if it is Epstein, I don't want all I cover is stuff that they've put out. Like, oh, you put this out, I'll talk about it. I'm not trying to research this guy, because they scare the shit out of me.
Here's clip 64. Here it is.
Oh, guys, we're in the Roses Palm Beach Peak. Now, he's in his backyard on the beach. And I noticed there's no lounge chairs. There's no cabana service. When I throw my hat in the roof in Nair Palm Beach, that is going to be on my platform. Free setup at the beach. Free setup at every pool. Palm Beach for mayor.
Is he really running for mayor?
Yeah, he is. Well, he says he is. And he said that, so that he did a lie detector test also on a podcast. And they asked him, he said that he lived in New York the exact same years that Epstein lived in New York. He lived in Palm Beach the exact same years that Epstein lived in Palm Beach. They asked him if he had ever been in the same place as Epstein. He said that he had been at a party that Epstein was at. It's crazy. He's saying he also says that he's doing a DNA test right now. He's like, yeah, I'm doing a DNA test, so I'm going to prove I'm not Jeffrey Epstein. I'm like, where would you have gotten Jeffrey Epstein's DNA, guy? You know what I mean?
Oh, well, let me just say to my producers, I want to get Palm Beach Pete on.
I cannot wait to watch that. I will watch that with an ear-to-ear smile.
Do it, guys. Here he is with some hot chicks. You know what? I don't think it's Epstein. I think he's Ashkenazi Jew, New York Jew, similar genetics. You know, that's how a black Labrador retriever that's of the, best in show. Every year, I'm not a huge dog fancier, but I'll try to go with my mom. She likes it. We'll try to watch the Westminster Dog Show. And you'll see the black lab, and it looks just like the one from the year before, even though it's not. I mean, it's inbreeding. I mean, I just think he's trolling everybody. Maybe you're right. Maybe it is him, but here he is. It's possible. Here he is with some ladies. Here we go.
Guys, it's Palm Beach Peak. Where in the world am I now? I'm with these beautiful ladies, and I'm gaming, and I can't stop winning.
We love you.
Okay, let's go shopping.
Well, it's Epstein and the ladies again.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, listen, one thing people learn about me real fast is there's no hill that I'm going to die on. Like if people are like, oh, I think you're wrong about this. I'm like, maybe.
Hey, listen, stuff's so weird. I don't blame you. I'm only covering it now because you were on as a guest. I haven't touched it yet, even though it's been out for months, just because, here's the deal. It was declassified in the 60s. The CIA at Plum Island brought in Nazi scientists and weaponized syphilis and called it Lyme disease and released it. People wouldn't even believe that when I had the declassified congressional documents. So I've never UFOs and stuff. You couldn't prove one or the other because people couldn't even believe it. We have executive orders about martial law and forced labor camps and FEMA, since the 80s. People don't believe that. They can go read the damn executive order on the government website. So to me, that's why I stay away from this stuff. But I think it's important also just to examine the phenomenon because it looks like a terrible day he's having. I'll tell you that. I like that champagne and what it's doing. Love that waterfall. But seriously, love God's creations. But seriously, you can't blame anybody when they've been lied to so much now, not believing anything they're told. That is the loss of confidence in the system.
That's the end result of all of this stuff. That's why I try really hard not to fall into the trap of just not believing anything, but it's nearly impossible because everything that comes down an official channel ends up being either a lie or so drastically skewed in one direction that it is essentially a lie, I feel like.
And then you get Q people that can't believe everything's a lie, so they say everything's true. The good guys are secretly in control. That's one end of delusion. The other end is everything's fake. Everything's a fraud. The world is flat. The moon is made of cheese. Computers aren't real. Nuclear weapons aren't real. GPS isn't real. We're not real. We're a simulation. And I'm a clone because I started working out with one of Joe Rogan's trainer buddies and started doing intermittent fasting, and over a year lost 65 pounds, gained back about 15. I've lost about 10 of it. I'm 5 pounds from where I was, bitches. And by the way, I'm going down an extra 20 on top of it. So when I look like Governor Tarkin from Star Wars, because that's what I'm going to look like, when I get down to like 200, people are going to flip out and say he's a clone. Well, if I'm a clone, why is a clone suddenly skinny? Why couldn't they make a fat clone? And how does this clone sound just like me? Here's the thing. If I'm a clone, I don't know it. Got my point?
It's flattery, man. It's a flattery. They said a bunch of people were saying that Justin Gaethje, that he had to have had like lead in his gloves. And he's like, I saw him, he was on Rogan. He's like, that's just flattering. He's like, they say I'm on steroids, flattering. They say I had
the
lead
guy he
in
was
my
fighting,
gloves,
the guy he was fighting had his hands down, walking straight into straight right punches in the nose.
I mean, he was dead. Yeah, I mean, he was exhausted at the beginning of the third, and that straight shot that Gaethje hit him with, broke his entire left orbital bone. That break is so gnarly. His break, it's the worst orbital bone break I've ever seen because it goes all the way inside of the eye bone. It was like and he still fought for another 2 rounds. I mean, that's
incredible.
Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
guys, pull up
Justin,
Gaethje. What should we type into X to pull up the exact or YouTube? What'd you say? Gaethje.
Ilia Topuria.
Yeah, but it's a search. Gaethje destroys, or what would you?
Topuria. Topuria.
No, I know he was fighting Topuria, or however you say it, but I'm saying the exact headline would be like Gaethje destroys or something like that. Because, I mean, here's the deal. I was never a professional fighter. I'm going to be the toughest guy around. I've had my leg broken in a fight. People started fights. It was rough growing up in Dallas for a reason. But, I mean, I've punched somebody one time in the nose and literally torn their nose all the way off their face. Those aren't even basically gloves they've got on. But exactly, people not believing that you could do that to somebody's nose or break bones in the face obviously haven't punched somebody hard. I mean, you can kill somebody.
The people who the people who said that it was rigged, like that Ilia Topuria threw the fight, you're all, so he just fought on for 8 more minutes after he got his orbital bone broken.
But you know what finally got him? What are you talking about? What finally got him was the full power knee. You see the ribs buckle.
Yeah.
Folks, I don't know if you've ever been, I mean, one time I was being an idiot. Somebody was talking to me while I'm lifting weights, and this is back when I was still in somewhat good shape, like 15 years, 20 years ago. And I'm at the YMCA, and this guy's, okay, yeah, talking to me. And I don't pay attention. And it was like 170 pounds or something. It wasn't, I was doing like 10 reps. It slips out of my hand, hits me. All it did was separate 2 ribs. 6 weeks of pain every time I breathed. And that was nothing compared to that knee right into the ribs, folks. I'm surprised that guy could even get up and walk after that.
Yeah, broken ribs are there. You can't sleep. You have to sit up. It's like a broken rib is debilitating. It's a terrible recovery.
So he did break.
Absolutely
He did break.
I gotta have the clip. It's everywhere when you pull it up. Where's my phone? I'll pull it up.
Do this simple bedtime ritual to improve vision by up to 44%. You may
I know
not
it was a
this,
hard
but the
shot. I
biological
know that.
reason-
I know that was one of the best fights I'd ever
Cruising
seen in
trouble
my life
again.
as far as UFC.
Sorry. Hey, let's play your report here, and then I want to finish up with some topics. Let's play 62, your original report that I think is the most compelling. And you did it yourself, and I trust you. You went out and got still shots of both their teeth, and damn it, their genetics are so close or it's the guy, because the way those snaggle teeth came in, the way the crowding works, the way they all lean the exact direction. Yeah, you can say more time's gone on because this shot of Epstein, there was from years before. So yeah, it looks like some work's been done, but it looks like the same teeth. If you didn't tell me this was even Epstein, another guy, if you showed me these pictures without the words, I'd say, yeah, that's the same guy. This guy's lost weight and looks older, which is exactly what it is. Okay, here it is. Well, we'll find the part I want. It's the death blows, folks, but I'll come in during the break. I'll find what I want. It's fine. But let's go ahead and play this report. Here it is.
You can see Palm Beach Pete's lower teeth being compared supposedly to Jeffrey Epstein's lower teeth, and they appear to be an exact match. So in case anyone thought that this was not real, here are the 2 photos. Actually, this is actually even a better photo than the one that was used in the Facebook post. And as you can see, the teeth are identical. Okay. So that should be the end of the conversation right there. Like, what if we were going to go ahead and look at the ear? So let's take a quick look at somebody who appears to have had a plastic surgery procedure on their ear. You're looking at pre-op on the left and post-op on the right. So here are some of the things that can be changed through plastic surgery: earlobe size and or stretching, fold shape. More importantly, these are things that cannot be changed. Very complex cartilage structure. The biggest limitation is cartilage memory. You look at things like this. You can't fake these things. Look at my ear. Do you see anything that resembles a feature like that? No. No, you do not. That is a huge, unique feature. You also can go ahead and look at things like this and this, the shape right there. And if you look around the other features like the fold right here versus the fold right here, if I take these off so that you can see even more clearly, this line right here and this space right here is identical right here. So what would happen if we compared the ears of Epstein and Palm Beach Pete, right? Oh, you just did. Now, a sane person would think that that has to be the big finale, but it's not. So if you're not convinced yet, buckle up. We're not done yet. Epstein was advised to use plastic surgery to evade being caught in unearthed email. It's actually a series of emails where his assistant was setting up appointments with a prominent New York plastic surgeon in 2018, right before he was arrested.
It's one of the emails. This is from Leslie Groff to NYU Plastic Surgery for Big E. Paperwork for Big E appointment on July 11th, 2018. Attached, please find the paperwork for Big E. His appointment is tomorrow, Wednesday, July 9th. If you need anything else, please do not hesitate to ask. Please do confirm receipt of this email.
Now, obviously, connecting him to a plastic surgeon in preparation for having to go on the run is a massive piece of evidence. But there's one more huge piece that we're going to look at in this video. What if I told you that both Palm Beach Pete and Jeffrey Epstein have an involuntary speech pattern that they can't help but make, and identical? What would that do for you? Let's check it out.
Own business, and some knucklehead films me as perpetrating one of the largest frauds. Films me, frauds.
And by the way, I independently verified that both of those clips are real. There's no way to know for sure, is what someone who didn't want to either die or get sued would say.
What's up, Yankees?
There's no way for me to know for sure.
All right, so there you go. We'll table this. I want to get Palm Beach Pete on. Great producers. Please get that done. But since we mentioned it, more than just breaking his nose and his orbital bone with like 3 punches straight in, which basically won the fight then, didn't knock him out, but set the stage. I call that a death blow. I don't use the current terms. I'm not a cool sports guy like everybody else. I know everybody else is religious about names and terms and everything. My point is the blows that win the fight, the grievous wounds. But the one that really beats him, clearly when he can barely get up and walk and then says, I can't do it, and throws in the towel, is this knee. So this isn't lead in his knee, folks. So the knee and a thrust like that's probably what, 5-10 times more powerful than a punch.
They said that kid hit like a tank before they ever even got started.
Full power into his ribs. I'd be surprised if those ribs weren't broken. Here it is.
Well, desire that I think Joey says.
He's in serious pain from that shot to the beat of the body.
I couldn't see it.
Yeah, but it's just always the same. No, once we have a vortex that starts here, we can't have what we want. That's why we're going to back it up again, and we're going to show it again. Go ahead and show it.
Like a good entry. Big knee by Pete.
That right there.
Round 4.
Then he punches him in the same spot. I will assure you, I'm surprised he didn't even get up.
Oh my God. That's that bottom floating rib too. And that, that's right where you would either like kidney or liver. I mean, Ilya almost finished Gaethje in the second with that body that buckled Gaethje. If he wasn't so tough, like almost, no one comes back from.
Look at how the lead in his gloves allowed him to do a double backflip too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, the lead in the gloves. Did you know you can fly if you have lead in your gloves as well? Folks, back that up again. Look at the lead in his gloves when he kicks him in the rib, the floating rib, and you see the ribs just crunkle and all the muscles came in. Look at the power of how he cheated, and the reps let him use lead in his gloves right there. The lead in the gloves is what did that. Do you believe this?
Everybody who's ever fought Gaethje has said no one has ever hit them harder than he did. Everyone.
And again, the lead allows him to do this backflip. Look at this. Look at the lead, the power of the lead. Lead is incredible.
Yeah.
All right, I'm being silly. Brother, thank you for being here. You're going to come in and guest host sometime. People can find your show. I know you do live shows at night. You also almost every day release videos, right?
I do.
A limited run of these, the most beautiful stainless steel, the highest quality.
Oh, shit. I don't know. Y'all be thinking that, I'll start that. Bam. There we go. I don't know. I don't be thinking that Palm Beach Pete dude's Epstein. I think that he's just fucking grifting off of that shit. But in what world do we become famous for pretending to be a pedophile? It's beyond. I don't know. You would think that would make people not go and look at him. You know what I mean? Not give him the fucking time of day. But unfortunately, they fucking do, which is stupid. Shit is dumb. Holy shit. He's done boxed me a couple times. This fucking idiot.
William Swanson, it has come to my attention that. Hey, William Swanson of Florida, are you out there trying to hide your lies, buddy? I call you out and I say, hey, bud, my son's my son, whether he's my blood or not. Hey, Dan. William Swanson, it has come to my attention that you're really
big
fucking
triggered this
stupid and
morning,
you don't
ain't
really
they?
know what family is, bud. It came to my attention that you're out there spreading the rumors that my granddaughter's not my granddaughter because she's not my blood. Yeah, bud. My son, who's 25 years old, I took the responsibility of being his dad when he was 2 years old. I didn't plant the seed, but I tried to grow the fruit. You know what I mean, bud? I tried to provide him with everything he ever needed.
Bro, you need to take a bath. You've been wearing that shirt for like 3 fucking days. Quit worried about what I'm saying. Yeah, this was today. Quit worrying about what I'm saying and go take a fucking shower. That's not what I said, dipshit. You're the one that told everybody that you took a kid that wasn't yours and raised it. There's no shame in that. All I said is that's not a kinship. That's it. I mean, what did I say? That was a lie. Because if I said a lie, that was you. Always the victim. That's what locals do.
He was able to do whatever sports you could have to ask him if I was a really bad daddy or whatever, bud. But because he doesn't come from me, he's not.
Carl, you're the one that told us your kids hate you, man. We don't make that shit up. We just go by what you tell us. I said, hey, Carl, I hope you're having a Father's Day, man. I said, my kids made me breakfast in bed and washed my truck, dude. It's awesome. And you got it upon yourself to tell us your kids hate you. I'm sorry that they hate you, but I wonder why.
Not my son. Is that what you're trying to tell people, bud? So I hate to break it to you, bud, but Jesus said, water and spirit, bud. Don't get yourself caught up in a blood clot. You know what I mean? But you explain to your people about how a man that would take care of another child that didn't come from him as his own is a real piece of garbage in your eyes. It would make his daughter not your granddaughter.
Well,
for real.
Taking care of them is not why I think that, you got issues. Maybe because you're in your kid's room at 3 o'clock in the morning talking sexual to them. See, it's hard to overlook that. No matter what, what you've done, but prior to that, you fucked your kids up.
And hey, bud,
3 days in a row.
You've been talking to that girl too? Like, you let her slip that.
Do what now?
Like, what are you doing, Will? Do you know these people, bud? And hey, bud, you've been talking to that girl too?
What
Like, you
girl?
let her slip that. Like, what are you doing, Will?
What kind of fantasy have you made up in your head, Carl? What kind of fantasy? Who am I talking to? I've said before, I don't know none of these people. I don't care.
You know these people, bud? Do you think I have these kids by accident, my friend? Get your head together, bud. Blood don't mean nothing, bud. Because if you want to go to God, you got to be a water and spirit, bud. And you got to have some truth in you. And, well, quite frankly, you don't know what it takes to be a man.
Here's the truth, Carl. You're crazier than a fucking shithouse rat.
And take care of people regardless of if they belong to you or not. Because
and you are not taking care of anybody. All you do is sit on the internet all day and chase famous people around. Now, let's see what you said in your last one. Oh, well,
hey,
you at
William,
least changed your shirt. You ain't took a bath because your hair's still fucking the same. See that, Carl?
William Swanson.
Look,
it is.
Your hair is still greasy.
Hey,
as
William
fuck.
Swanson of Florida. Are you out there trying to hide your lies, buddy? I call you out and I say, hey, bud, my son's my son, whether he's my blood or not. I fucking raised him, you retard. Therefore, his daughter's my granddaughter. And you come out and try and make me look like a crazy person, but yet you delete the recording of you saying it, bud. How about you put that live back up there, Buckchow, and we see who's lying. Why don't you show your people who's going to God and who's not, Pumpkin? Come on, put the live back up. Don't be scared, bud. Don't be scared because if it says what I says it says.
Triggered, boy. What you worried about what I'm talking about for? Just go away, Will.
And you did that and you tried to hide it and call me a liar, bud. You're gonna go to hell if there is a hell. Carl don't know if there's hell. But fucking dirtbags like you on Men's Mental Health Month, you motherfucker. Stop fucking with people or you're gonna get what what you're asking for, Pumpkin. Why are you fucking with people's mental health out here, lying and fucking being a deceiving little bitch, and then you fucking delete it, bud? You got mental problems, buddy. You're out there trying to hurt people.
I can tell. I'm the one screaming at a computer over what somebody else thinks about me.
Because you don't want to live in reality, you battle protecting piece of crap. Get your shit together. Get with God. Find.
You know what I find crazy?
William Swanson. It has come to my attention that you're really fucking stupid and you don't.
Tagging. William Swanson has daddy issues with at Tom McDonald official. Why are you tagging Tom McDonald, Carl? Why is that? What the fuck does Tom McDonald have to do with this? You are so desperate to be the victim. Jesus Christ, man. Low cows for days, bro.
Hey, William Swanson of Florida, are you out there trying to hide your lies, buddy? I call you out and I say, hey, bud, my son's my son, whether he's my blood or not. I fucking raised him, you retard. Therefore, his daughter's my granddaughter. And you come out and try and make me look like a crazy person, but yet you delete the recording of you saying it, bud. How about you put that live back up there, Buckchow, and we see who's lying. Why don't you show your people who's going to God and who's not, Pumpkin? Come on, put the live back up. Don't be scared, bud. Don't be scared because if it says what I says it says, and you did that and you tried to hide it and call me a liar, bud, you're gonna go to hell if there is a hell. Carl don't know if there's hell. But fucking dirtbags like you on Men's Mental Health Month, you.
Carl, your locale is showing, buddy. Calm the fuck down. See, now, if you go to Instagram, Carl's talking a whole different way. He's trying to fucking rile me up. And I won't let him. And he can't stand it. Go put your Satan shirt back on. It fits you. Oh, shit. If that shirt probably walk away, man. Ain't he the one that told us that his son's girlfriend or whatever cheated on or whatever? However but it wasn't his kid. Didn't he say that? I'm sure Lil Me got that video. I don't know. But I blocked the motherfucker and he gets mad. I take the video down. He gets fucking mad. What do you want me to do, Carl? You want me to fucking come and babysit you? You want me to come change your fucking diaper? Is that what it is, bro? Nothing nobody can say to you is going to make you fucking understand. People really don't give a fuck. You've doxed me, like, I don't know, quite a few times. If I really wanted to do something to you, I could report your channel, Carl. Because you doxed me over and over and over again. Is that what you want me to do? Would that make you happy? Would just, make it where you can't get on YouTube? I mean, fucking, hey, I could be a locale like you. I could just go and report your shit. You're a fucking idiot, man. Yeah, no, it's come right out of his mouth. He wants to be famous, and I don't look at him as famous. Nobody else does. We see the emotional problems that he has, but he has to be the victim. He fucks with people, and then when people just poke back just a little bit, you know, he gets all fucking pissy. You know how easy it would be to take some of his videos and report them to Canada Mental Health? They would come around there and lock his dumb ass up. I mean, not that I'm saying I want to do that, but he's the one that told everybody, hey, if you think I'm a danger to be around kids, report me. I just remind him of it. All you got to do is listen to Carl for just a little bit and then throw the shit back at him and he can't fucking stand it. He's very narcissist. I don't know. I don't want to see nothing bad come to him. That one dude over there acting like he wants to suck him off, though. I'll tell you that. Old Mr. Leader of the locales over there. Yeah, like what the fuck is that? Yeah, no, he fucking claims that I did. Cop top telling everybody I fucking did this and I did that. I didn't do shit. I just poked back at him. I just trolled him a little bit and he can't take it. He probably ought to quit fucking with people. Right when he thought he was trolling me, boy, he was all happy with that shit. Carl doesn't have the mindset to stay on YouTube. Best thing he could probably do is just chill the fuck out, leave people alone, do his own thing. But he doesn't know how to do that. He's got to be fucking, he's got to be a victim. And I'm going to tell you something. That dude's over there encouraging him when he does something stupid. Just remember, you encouraged him. You walked him down that road. I'm just looking around here this morning. Yeah, too many people want to be famous, man. Just let it go. Shit.
What's that say? This is for real. Your debt is completely wiped off.
I'm so blessed. Best choice in the world.
Here we go.
Now, Austin Metcalf's dad, Jeff Metcalf, joins me now here in Dallas. Jeff, thanks for being with us here today.
Thank you, Will. Thanks for having me.
You know, I think I'd love to just start this conversation with some of what I just shared with the audience. This is not new to you. I'm sure you've seen the video and heard the 911 call. I did notice you took your earpiece out. You didn't want to hear that audio again of the 911 call.
Correct.
Just too hard to hear it again and to see this video.
And there's another body cam footage that hasn't been released, and it has pretty graphic details, and I can hear my son screaming, and it's something I don't really want to care to listen to again.
Totally understandable. What, with this video's release, Jeff, do you hope the public can see about this moment?
Well, I mean, obviously, the trial not being publicly viewed live, due to there's so many minors involved. And that's a different subject I could talk about on its own, because look at the damage that these young students who had to witness this murder, who have to live with this for the rest of their life. Every one of them, I believe, are in counseling. PTSD could be a thing. I mean, this is a trauma that you carry the rest of your life, possibly. No doubt. Hopefully they can get the help they need and move forward and not be scarred from it. Me personally, I'm the same way. I need the help too, to make sure that I can move forward. And that's what I really want to concentrate on, is moving forward. I hope this video can clear up a lot of the misinformation that was provided throughout the entire year before the trial came to light. There were multiple lies and truths that were put on social media, that were spoken by even individuals that have some fame. People had their own opinions without even seeing the facts. And that's the part I have trouble with.
What do you make of that? Candidly, with the audience, you and I spoke a little bit earlier today, and it's one of the great mysteries for me, and how something that is so clear, the facts so obvious, was turned into something that was this great national discussion of race. I think
racist motivation for profit. Just like with that fucking stupid ass little skinny fuck, Charleston White. One minute he's on Camilla's side, next minute he realized he ain't gonna get no money over there, so now he's got to come over to fucking Austin's side. It's sickening to watch these guys grift and bounce back and forth off a fucking tragedy.
You called it earlier. How did this become George Floyd 2.0?
Unfortunately, in today's moral decay of society, as we witnessed, people believe that if they have their own voice, they scream loud enough, they're right. And they believe perception is their own reality. It may not be truth, but in their mind, it is their own reality.
Talking about Carl now,
for a person to not able to objectively look at something, use common logic, common sense, to come to a determination just based on merely the facts, not the color of one's skin, that tells me a whole lot about your character if you choose that direction.
And you told me you feel like you know the moment this became more than simply a horrible tragedy and a crime story in North Texas, where it became this larger thing, and it was that press conference.
Yes, sir. I do believe that was probably one of the turning points. I was there to show up to pray. I was hoping we could show the world this wasn't a racial divide thing, that we could kind of close the gap instead of widening it. But at that point, they'd obviously obtained the services of Dominic Alexander, a convicted baby-shaking felon advocate who decided to throw me out of the press conference, have me removed by police, and then proceeded to gaslight me and tell me how I was such, I can't remember the word he used, but that I shouldn't have been there, and it was not dignified to my son or myself, which I really couldn't quite understand as they proceeded to gaslight me. And also took it, there was a young lady who has followed the case also from the entire time. Her name is Sarah Fields. Also showed information about her. That's when they took it from any type of remorse, which they did not show, to the fact of now we're going to play the race card, and now we're going to politicize this. Now we're getting a political activist involved. The two things I said on one of the first interviews I ever did was, please don't make this about race, and please don't politicize it. But they chose to do both.
And your goal that day was to simply get together and pray?
All I wanted, I was actually hoping to show them, hey, look, man, I know what happened was terrible, and your son made a horrible mistake. I was hoping for some accountability, maybe, and some remorse. Neither one was shown.
Have you ever spoken to the Anthonys?
No.
No apology, no remorse?
Nothing.
They collected a shit ton of money on that kid, though, didn't they? Left his ass.
These
there to
radical
fucking rot.
Democrats don't want to solve problems. They just want power. The power to spend your money.
You were telling me you were inside the courtroom, quite obviously. After the verdict, the Anthonys left. They weren't there for Carmelo's sentencing.
That is correct. They weren't there for the sentencing, and they were not there for victim impact statements. They left that poor child up there by himself. As soon as the verdict was read, he was guilty. His family and some other advocates left the courtroom and turned in their badges.
Jeff, I was talking to you earlier about Austin's twin brother, Hunter. And I asked you, what has life been like for Hunter in school? Frisco Memorial has other black students. What's the relationships been like at school? What has life been like for Hunter?
Well, I can't speak, for Hunter. I can only try to imagine. But he held his grades. He had straight A's this year. He was captain of the football team. Took over his brother's position. I honestly can't see anyone that has the strength or the mental fortitude as much as that young man does. I told him, matter of fact, I told him right after the trial when he went up to give his victim impact statement that I saw a boy walk up there, but what I saw walk down was a man. He was calm, to the point, was able to articulate his words in a way that could be very understood very well. Asked Carmelo to look him in the eye to show him some respect, and never once became emotional and was able to convey what his thoughts were at that moment.
And you told me that multiple black students throughout Frisco High, Memorial High, also in the middle school, the entire community rallied around Hunter, rallied around your family, rallied around Austin. The point being, what was happening actually on the ground and in your lives was so different than what was taking place in the national media, in the conversation, for example, on The View.
Don't get me started on left liberal who have Showtime. But anyway, the community and the school itself, obviously we dedicated the season to Austin, and there was a logo, motto, whatever you want to call it, it's called All In. A stood for Austin. The two ones were his number 11. I stand for integrity. N stands for never quit. Man. And they dedicated the season to him, and that became the motto. And they also presented me and Megan with a framed jersey of Austin with his jersey number 11 that hangs above my fireplace as we speak. But as far as the makeup of the team, I'd say half the team are blacks. We don't see color. So all I see is character in people. I don't care what color you are. I want to judge you how you treat people. What's your character like? Your color makes no difference. It doesn't determine your IQ. It doesn't determine your faith. It doesn't determine how much money you have. But your character shows who you are truly. And that's how I judge people.
And you said, don't get me started on it, but to your point, a lot of big voices in the media have talked about this, said, I don't understand. I could play a clip for you, which I'm not going to, of Sonny Hostin on The View saying, I don't understand how this couldn't possibly be self-defense. So what is your judgment of all these people in the media that have spoken on the case?
Well, they're just like anybody else. They don't know me. They don't know Hunter, Austin. They don't know Carmelo. They're looking for their 15 minutes of fame or their clickbait or their clicks. They're looking to monetize the death of my son. I really wish they wouldn't speak about at all. Because one, if that woman said that, she has no idea about the facts of the case, but she wants to spew her public opinion on a platform that reaches millions of people every day. Do I have that platform? No, but today I have a little platform to say what I'd like. She is completely wrong. And if they want to take me and call me and ask me to be on The View with them, I would gladly fly me up there and let me talk to all of you.
Well, I can promise you more people are watching you right now than watch The View.
It's not hard to believe.
Last thing, Jeff, you said that they don't know your son. What would you like the world to know about Austin Metcalf?
Man, I don't think we have enough time. But, Austin, I'll try to sum it up. He was a leader. He was a God-fearing. He had compassion. He showed love. He always helped, always was helping his teammates, always helping the younger kids from middle school who was transitioning to high school football. He would go and talk to them and tell them what to expect. He would coach them in the weight room. He was a leader. When he stepped on that field, he became someone totally different. And he played, I told him once before, I said, son, you play with such controlled rage. And it shows. And for him to have all the accolades and the thing and where he was going, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind he was playing D1 football. But, let's just go a step forward. Maybe there's that 1% chance he does get to the NFL. I'm maybe biased because he's my son, but he had the numbers, the stats, and the size. So the possibility does exist. I don't know about the probability, but the possibility surely existed.
Well, I'm sorry for all that you and your family have been through, and you and I've spoken, and I know you're continuing to go through it. I know you're getting a lot that is completely undeserved and unfortunate out there. So you continue to, but I appreciate you sharing with us, and with the world about Austin.
Well, that's one thing, all in. And this is one of the things that people understand that we did all the time was this. And this is sign language for I love you. If you ever see my boys or whatever, that was kind of like, their thing to tell me, hey, man, I'm thinking about you. I love you. And I just want the world to understand, it all starts with you and it all starts at home. So as a parent, do your best. Are your kids? Doesn't mean they're going to turn out right or wrong. It doesn't guarantee that they will live or die. But I do believe if you instill your moral values and a moral compass, I think our society is going the wrong direction right now. And us as parents are the only ones that are able to change this because our kids are the future. And what does our future look like with what we're teaching them right now that is acceptable?
Jeff Metcalf, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.
I cannot help but feel bad for them. Yeah, I'm fixing to get off of here too, bro. I'm fixing to get off of here too. All right, y'all. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. Y'all take it easy. Peace.